Port Authority. Let's welcome him. Very warm welcome to you. From Sri Lanka, we have the Assistant Director, Economic Affairs Multilateral, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Ms. Prabhashvi Kahatuduwa. Let's welcome her, ladies and gentlemen. Ms. Prabhashvi Kahatuduwa. Welcome, ma'am. And from Myanmar, may I invite the Managing Director, Myanmar Port Authority, Ministry of Transport and Communications, Mr. Zaw Tun Lwin. Mr. Zaw Tun Lwin is going to be joining us, so let's welcome him. Very warm welcome to you, Mr. Zaw Tun Lwin. And from India, we have Shri P.L. Haranath, Chairman of Paradeep Port Authority. Let's welcome him, ladies and gentlemen. Shri P.L. Haranath, Chairman of Paradeep Port Authority. Warm welcome to you, sir. We extend a very warm welcome to all our speakers. So now we will present them bouquet of flowers, and I'm going to request Captain S. Divakar from the Dredging Corporation of India to kindly join us and do the honors. And may I also invite Mr. Ramana Murthy to join us. So we can begin by welcoming our moderator, Shri Rathendra Raman. Thank you for the applause, ladies and gentlemen. May I invite Mr. Ramana Murthy, Mr. Mohammad Ataul Siddiqui. From Bangladesh, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Mohammad Ataul Siddiqui from the Chittagong Port Authority. Captain Divakar, may I request you to please welcome Ms. Prabhashvi Kahatuduwa. She is from Sri Lanka. And let's welcome her, the Assistant Director, Economic Affairs, Multilateral, Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Mr. Ramana Murthy, may I request you to please now welcome Mr. Zaw Tun Lwin. He's from Myanmar, Managing Director, Myanmar Port Authority, Mr. Zaw Tun Lwin. And may I also take an opportunity to thank Shri P.L. Haranath, Chairman, Paradeep Port Authority. We have one, yes, but we have to welcome with a bouquet of flowers, Shri P.L. Haranath, Chairman, Paradeep Port Authority, the India representative for this session. So with that, we extend a very warm welcome to all our speakers, and now I hand over the proceedings of this session to our moderator, Shri Raman. Sir.
Very good afternoon to all of you. Guests, panelists, delegates. Since this session is going to start after lunch, it's going to be a very difficult session. At the same time, it will be one of the interesting sessions of this conclave. It is really a great honor and privilege for me to welcome you all for this panel discussion on accelerating private sector investments and PPPs in Bimstec maritime projects. As we all know that this Bimstec group has 7 dynamic nations spread across South and Southeast Asia, home to the 22% of the world population. And today, as we all know and see, that the global trade patterns is shifting and becoming more region-specific. So this has provided a unique chance to position ourselves as an engine of blue economic growth. Trade, investment, and connectivity. If you think of the trade, as we all know, the trade between the nations are carried out by 95% by volume and 70% by value through the maritime sector. So it brings the port and the maritime infrastructure at the heart of this transformation. However, The scale of investment that is required to build resilient, efficient, and the future-ready port infrastructure exceeds the capacity of public funding alone. That's why required private partners, PPP projects. It is here that the PPP and the targeted private sector investments become indispensable, not only to bridge the infrastructure gap in funding, but also to bring in innovation, modern technology, and operational efficiency. As we all know that India is the biggest contributor to GDPs among the Bimstec countries, accounting for about 75%. And we all know how well-structured PPP projects have unlocked substantial value in the port sector in our own country. And today, we have panelists from other nations, and they are here with very rich experiences from Myanmar, Sri Lanka, and Bangladesh. So this session provides an opportunity to listen to them and also to learn from their experience. Today, we are fortunate to have with us all the distinguished panel of these experts who belong from the government and industry, and who are going to share their perspectives on the current landscape and trends in private sector investment in the Bimstec maritime projects, key enablers and barriers for scaling up PPP in the region. If we have some innovative models and the policy frameworks that can stimulate investor confidence and promote sustainable growth. And finally, the ways we can collectively collaborate to forge a more connected, prosperous, and resilient Bimstec maritime network. And today we have a fourth speaker. First of all, we have Mr. P.L. Harnad, the Chairman, Paradip Port Authority, which is one of the largest major port in the eastern coast of the country and a leading port in the country itself. Second, we have Captain Siddiqui from Chittagong, who will be sharing his Bangladesh experience. Next, we have Pravasvi, Assistant Director, Economic Affairs, Ministry of Foreign Affairs from the Government of Sri Lanka. And finally, we have a panelist from Myanmar, Sri Tune Lovin, who is a Managing Director, Myanmar Port Authority, Ministry of Transport and Communications from the Government of Myanmar. So, now I'll request Mr. P.L. Harnad to share his experience and tell us about the role played by the PPPs in the growth story of India's major ports, and with some success stories of his own port, that is Paradip. Mr. Harnad? Yeah.
So, good evening to all of you, and thanks to Shri Rathendra Raman and Chairman SMP, who is our moderator, and also good evening to all my co-panelists from the different Bimstec nations. So, you know, in the world, and India over the years, especially for the last 10 years, it has developed a very good PPP ecosystem in the country. The capacity of all the ports, Indian major ports, was hardly about 800 million tons 10 years back. In the last 10 years, the capacity of the major ports has been doubled. This is mainly because of the PPP investments in Indian major port sector. Also in the non-major port sector, substantial investment has taken place, and the capacity has been from 600 million tons. It has gone up to 1,000 million tons. Today, the Indian entire port together is having about 2,600 million ton port capacity. That is the EXIM capacity we have today. On date, 85 PPP projects have been awarded in major ports with an investment of about approximately $8 billion. It is huge. And these PPP investments have not only brought about capacity expansion, but also have brought the modernization, mechanization, ease of doing business, traffic flexibility, and the digital transformation. So a lot of changes have occurred with PPP. If we see all the Bimstec nations, we are all nations are 7, but the vision is 1. That's what the theme says. So all the 7 nations put together, last financial year, approximately handled about 2 billion tons of cargo at their ports. That means 2,000 million tons. Out of these 2,000 million tons, 1,600 million tons was handled by India. The next is Bangladesh, which handled roughly, subjected to correction from my friends on the dais, 180 million tons was handled by Bangladesh, and around 140 million tons by Thailand, 110 million tons by Sri Lanka. Myanmar is 25 million tons. Of course, the traffic handled at Nepal and Bhutan is already accounted in either Bangladesh or in India because they are landlocked. So 2,000 million tons, 2 billion tons today has potential to go up to 3 billion tons by 2030. That is in a span of about next to 4 to 5 years, we have to ramp up our capacity to handle 50% of more cargo. So it's huge. Normally, you know that in port sector, if you want to handle the capacity utilization of the port sector is 70%. Then if you have a 100 million ton capacity, you can handle 70 million cargo only. Because otherwise beyond that there will be huge congestion, productivity will be impacted, and the vessels will detain. So that's why always you should have a 30% cushion. So that's why we have to ramp up our capacity more than 3 billion tons. So that is the challenge which we have. This challenge can be addressed very easily on the basis of the experiment that India has passed through for the last decade, that is the PPP model. PPP model today, the entire Indian port sector, 60% of its cargo handling is being done through PPP. By 2030, we target to improve the 60% to 80%. I hope that other member nations also trying to improve the capacity expansion, mechanization, and modernization, so by PPP. So in Indian port sector, we have a huge opportunity of PPP, either in capacity expansion or in multimodal linkages or hinterland connectivity or digital transformation or smart initiatives. So there are so many areas where the PPP will come in and will bring us efficiency, cost effectiveness also. As far as Paradip port is concerned, I'll just say for the last 5-6 years, we have improved our capacity by 55 million tons through 4 PPP projects. Today we have only 18 berths, but our capacity is 289 million tons. 4 berths have been added and which have given us 55 million ton capacity. By 2030, another 50 million ton capacity we are going to add through PPP because we felt that the PPP has been very, very successful. Now today I can just give an example, a Western Dock project, which is of 25 million ton capacity. The legislated time given to us is 5 years. We have been executing in 3 years' time. So this is the fastest PPP project executed in Indian port sector. Probably it will become once it is completed. Within 3 years, we will execute a 25 million ton project with 18.5 meter draft with Cape handling facility. So, and second important thing which I want to add as far as Paradip port is concerned, Paradip port will serve as a green hydrogen hub for the entire Bimstec nations because it is closer to all the Bimstec nations. We have been developing through PPP a 5 million ton green hydrogen berth which can handle which can serve the green hydrogen producers who are coming up very close to Paradip, and it will bunker the vessels, it will export wherever needed from the Bimstec nations. So what I feel is we all can work together and provide an ecosystem and transfer the technology and well as the knowledge and to improve the PPPs and then increase our capacities so regional network can serve in a much better way. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hernad, for giving us insight into the PP projects in the country and especially at Paradip. Before I come to you, for the second question, I would request now Ms. Prabhasri. Ms. Prabhasri, as we all know, Sri Lanka, especially through the port of Colombo, has positioned itself as a mega transshipment hub in the Indian Ocean. I request you to share the experience with the FDI and the private sector participation in maritime infrastructure.
Thank you for that question. Distinguished panelists, delegates, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Ayubowan, namaskaram. To understand how Sri Lanka have evolved in terms of collaborating with the private sector, I thought it's important that we share how we have evolved over the years in terms of accelerating our partnerships. Just like many parts in the region and in the world, Sri Lanka too had ports infrastructure development as a public sector domain. And almost 3-4 decades ago, we did put out the groundwork that resulted later on in public-private partnerships. So in 1980s, this journey began when groundwork was in fact laid with the development project of the Port of Colombo, which was our first comprehensive modernization initiative led by the Sri Lankan government. And in 1989, we commissioned the development study on the Port of Colombo, which introduced the idea of strategic long-term planning and expansion, which set the stage for future investments. Fast forward to 2002, we conducted a feasibility study on the Colombo South Harbour, which was a project that in fact later became central for Sri Lanka's transshipment ambitions. In 2002, we developed a business plan, a comprehensive business plan for the Colombo South Harbour, signaling a clear intention to attract private and foreign capital into Sri Lanka's port infrastructure development. In 2011, we did a strategic review of development options under the Colombo Port Expansion Project, which further refined our investment strategy, paving the way for joint ventures such as the Colombo International Container Terminal. Most recently, in 2023, we completed a feasibility study on the northern side of the Colombo Port, which was a greenfield expansion project that we believe will form the next wave of PPP-led growth. Since our moderator highlighted about the Port of Colombo, please give me some time to explain to you the strategic importance of Port of Colombo for Sri Lanka. Port of Colombo is among the best container ports in the world, and it is also considered as the regional transshipment hub in the Indian Ocean region. It has well-planned development strategies and capitalizing strategic location in the east-west route, which carries over 60% of the world container seaborne trade. The Port of Colombo handles above 7 million 20-feet equivalent units, and it has already reached its peak capacity by now. And by the end of the current port expansion projects, the handling capacity is expected to increase up to 14 million. We have also executed large-scale PPs that balance commercial interests with national priorities. Let me highlight a few standout examples for you. The South Asia Gateway Terminal, which is popularly known as the SAGT, is located in the Port of Colombo. It was our first public-private partnership container terminal operating in Sri Lanka, and it is one of the 4 container terminals in the Port of Colombo. It was the Sri Lanka Board of Investment and Sri Lanka's John Keel's holding that came together with the Sri Lanka Ports Authority to establish this terminal. And then we have the Colombo International Container Terminal, which is a bot model, which we started with Chinese partners, and it is ranked among one of South Asia's most efficient terminals. We also have the Hambantota International Port, which is a strategically located joint venture we had with China, and it introduces Sri Lanka into key shipping lanes. We also have a very important terminal, the Colombo West International Terminal, which we consider as one of our premier terminals in the future of maritime logistics. This terminal is again located in the port of Colombo, and it will increase the port's current capacity to 3.2 million TEUs to handle multiple ultra-mega vessels concurrently, and will play a role in supporting the growing trade and logistic needs of Sri Lanka and the surrounding region, including the Bimstec region. This is a PPP success story which we developed with the Adani Group of India and John Keels of Sri Lanka under a 35-year BOT agreement. This terminal features a 1,400 quay designed for the largest ULCCs. Behind all of this is all these successful projects is a policy ecosystem that Sri Lanka created to attract investments and build investor confidence. We have a comprehensive national port action plan, which in fact prioritizes development based on strategic and commercial needs. Then we have incentive frameworks, which includes tax holidays, capital allowances, duty exemptions for qualifying products. We also have the Sri Lanka Ports Authority, which plays a dual role of being both a regulator and a player, guiding PPPs through implementation. And most importantly, all ports in Sri Lanka comply with initiatives, agreements, and provisions which are enacted and backed by the International Maritime Organization, such as the ISPS code, the IMDG code, the Megaport Initiative, which ensures that security and investors' trust remains paramount. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhashri. Now we come to Ataur Siddiqui from Chittagong Port. I would request you to highlight the Bangladesh perspective. What is your government initiative to promote PPP in the maritime sector?
Respected moderators, respected co-panelists, and the delegates from Bimstec countries, good afternoon. It's my honor and privilege to stand before you and share my understanding on Bangladesh perspective on PPP projects. So please allow me to thank the host nation, India, for welcoming us. In terms of PPP, the strategic importance of this conclave is huge, because the vision of this BMTC, Maritime Transport Cooperation Agreement, is to enhance connectivity and foster goodwill and cooperations. So while talking about the PPP, Bangladesh, we do have a lot of land-based projects in PPP concept. However, in terms of maritime connectivity, we are lags behind of a few numbers while comparing to India and my fellow countrymates, Myanmar. But we are looking forward with the change of various regulatory things. We are trying to adopt the PPP concept in our maritime projects. Especially, as you know, that we have a separate authority, PPP authority, who are just looking after these investments. And BIDA, Bangladesh Investment Development Authority, is working as a hub point for these PP investors, providing an holistic support, one-stop support, combining all other organs of the authorities, so that he gets feel comfort, feel free, including the financing methods and also comparison of the nearby trade connectivities. He can get a holistic support in one-stop, in sitting on one location. I don't have it scripted, but in reality, I will share you the things, what is happening at this moment in Bangladesh. If you see the strategic location of Bangladesh, she is in the apex of Bay of Bengal, with the close proximity of all the major trade routes. And if we see the locations, she is between South and Southeast Asia, which can build bridge between the South and Southeast Asian nations. And also, as my colleague and the team leader already presented, we are connected to 162 ports of the world. And also we are surrounded by the friendly neighborhood, which foster goodwill cooperations in terms of trade connectivity and social activities. So this is the few potentials of my locations. In terms of port, we do have 4 ports as of now. Matabari Deep Sea Port is coming up operations in 2028. It started its operation in minimum scale, but it will be a game changer for the country and for the regions. Because most of other 3 ports are driven by some limitations. Basically, they are the riverine ports. You have the limitation of the draft. The Matabari Deep Sea Port will be standalone. It will accommodate about the ships of 16 meter and about 9,000 TEUs capacity. This particular region has been projected to develop to become a potential manufacturing hub, energy hub, and port and logistics hub. Talking about the Chittagong port, handling 92% of this cargo. And the Paira port is coming up slowly and gradually. It will accommodate the 10.5 meter ships in very soon. And Mongla port about handling 8 to 9% of the container freight and about 40% of the general cargo. So if we look at the potentiality and the future supply and demand analysis, which indicates that by 2040, the Bangladesh need to handle about 160 million of general cargo and 11 million TEUs of container. It's a huge demand. So to cater the demands, Bangladesh has taken various ambitious steps, especially to promote the PPP concept, integration of the private partner, public-private partnership in developing the infrastructure of ports, especially in Chittagong port. The Bay terminal is going to be a new Chittagong port. It will accommodate the 12-meter ships and 300-meter length LOA, which can accommodate about 6,000 TEUs. Already you have seen on my team leader's presentation, the few of the global partners already signed MOU with Bangladesh, like AP Moller and DP World, PSA Singapore. So these are the concepts Bangladesh is hugely promoting to achieve the concept and vision of Bimstec Summit 2025.
Thank you, Mr. Siddiqui. Now we come to Tune Luwin, Managing Director, Myanmar Port Authority. As we all know that Myanmar's strategic coastline offers significant potential for port-led development. And we all know that Bimstec region is home to around 1.8 billion people, accounting for 22% of the global population. It is a huge market that needs efficient transportation and especially maritime transport connectivity. Please share your opinion of enhancing maritime transport connectivity in the Bimstec region.
My name is Zotonwe, Managing Director for Myanmar Port Authority, Ministry of Transport and Communication, Myanmar. This afternoon, we discussed about acceleration private sector investment and PPPs and Bimstec's maritime projects. First of all, I would like to introduce about Myanmar Port Authority. In Myanmar, Myanmar is owned by long coastal region, starting from Nav River, border of Myanmar and Bangladesh, southern part is Myanmar and Thailand border, Pachan River. Round about 1,216 nautical miles long from our coastal line. We have the 9 major ports. In Yangon, there's a major port, 95% of cargo handling to my country, import and export. Right now, Yangon open transshipment port already. The China cargo is come from the Yangon and then transshipment to the Chennai. Vice versa, the Chennai cargo arrive to Yangon and transshipment to the China. In the Western region, around about 22% of world population. Adjacent Asian country, 600 million people. The east of our region is China. Normally 1.4 billion other people. This is 40% of the world population, the big market. According to that market, the people is a consumer. All the transportation is based on the trade according to the logistics and supply chain management theory. In this case, big trade demand transportation. The world transportation have the maritime transportation is a huge amount carrying and low cost transportation. In Bimstec region, all the Bimstec members are already signed in maritime cooperation. In this case, we together in maritime sector for the logistics and supply chain management together, the bid market, internet and the external can do it for the transportation. That is the role of the Bimstec is a very good chance for the transportation, trade and communication. In this case, maritime sector doing is need to the trader. You must be contact the trader. One of the cargo owner is sent to the other country. Firstly, he can find the trader first. The trader can connect it to the transporter and the transportation. In this case, the Bimstec region is a big population and good trade market can do it connected to the transportation. In my country, in 1988, when the market economy was introduced, local and the foreign investors have been allowed to invest the port sector. As a result, looking at the ownership ratio right now is 95% is private sector. The private will be operate, and right now, this government which can collect concession fee and royalty fee for port management model. We implement landlord model and two-lot model for efficient management and operation. This is very important for the policy or the PPP model. My country, where we do there, I am the Myanmar Port Authority is a regulatory body. The regulator is must be careful to the private sector. Investment is a very important exercise. Private sector role is not just funny, not only just funny, but also driving innovation together. This case, government and private is hand together. Every government is must be care for the backer is people. In this case, all the private sector can do is you must be do. Government and private win-win is not enough. You must be careful. Another win is people. In this case, you do the private sector can do it win-win-win. Policy is the best solution for private sector improvement. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tunaluwin. Now I again come to Mr. Harnad. Whatever we explained to all of us, Mr. Harnad, that it has been a successful model, PPP model in India. Can you just give us, if PPP has been so successful, what has been done to make the PPP ecosystem so attractive? Can you give us some guidance?
Yeah. The PPP model in Indian port sector has evolved more than a decade. Initially, we had our own dose of failures. In fact, the initial period, I remember that the port projects under PPP, they faced traffic shortfalls, traffic rigidity, connectivity problems, and then clearances, environmental clearances, delayed executions, and also the disputes and arbitration for consequent arbitrations. So we had those problems. Those problems over the years, with the experience that we have gained in Indian port sector, has devised a wonderful PPP system now. the 2021 concessioning policy has been the remarkable in the landscape of the PPP operations in India. In fact, the new concessioning policy 2021 has 4 pillars. The first pillar is the revamping of the entire concession agreement. Now the present concession agreement shares the risk. Earlier the entire risk was with the concessionaire. Now the concessioning authority also shares the risk because it's a 30 years long period. Anything may happen. Economy is a dynamic system. The cargo may become, market may be dynamic. So the risk is being shared now. And the present concession agreement, the concessionaire has a lot of flexibility to redesign, to change the cargo, so to change the equity partner, to all these things and to exit if he wants. So all these facilities have been provided now. The second important pillar is the VGF. So we give support. So some of the important strategically and financially vital projects, but not economically not that much viable. They're only marginally viable. In such case of projects, we have to develop it. In the present policy says that we'll give the VGF or the support for them to make them viable to operate. The third important thing is the tariff flexibility. The previous systems were basically tariff is fixed, the ceiling is fixed. That means a concessionaire cannot charge beyond that. He can only give discounts. But now the concessionaire, the tariff flexibility is given to them. He can compete with the neighboring PPP terminals within the port, outside the private ports, so he can charge as per the market rates. So that is the most important thing. And the last but not the least, the fourth pillar, which is very, very important, is the dispute resolution mechanism. It has been simplified in our port sector, and we have a very good regulatory frameworks as well as the dispute resolution mechanisms which will take care of disputes. For example, we started Sarod ports. That means a society for affordable redressal of the disputes in ports. And it is a very cheap and time-bound redressal disputes can be done. Similarly, at port level, conciliation committees have been formed. So most of the disputes can be settled through conciliation. So we are working on that. Unless the disputes are settled, unless you make the PPP framework viable, so it cannot work. So the main thing I would like to say that the important takeaways for the Bimstec nation being a big PPP player in terms of cargo handled through PPP, India. So we can say that that ready template is available for standard documentation, now which has evolved over last 15 years. Then second one is we have a proof of concept is available, and which says that the private investment will bring efficiency, will bring modernization, will bring mechanization, will bring digital transformation. And the third important thing is we can co-invest, co-finance, and cooperate, and then in PPP networks, in all the Bimstec nations, we can partner with each other, and we can work together, developing corridors and between the Bimstec nations, so that we can capture the target, we can have a proper business development initiatives which will help in bringing the business and to the mutual benefit of all the nations of the Bimstec region. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hanna. Now again come to Ms. Prabhasmi. Prabhasmi, can you just give us some suggestions for creating a cohesive environment across Bimstec region?
Well, the reality is actually this. No single country within the region, no matter the size, the resources that we have, could fully harness the potential of the Bay of Bengal if we do not work together. And working together doesn't mean that we work together as a region, but it also means that we also work together with private sector and create more public-private partnerships and opportunities. And if we are truly committed to unlocking the transformative power of private investments in our maritime sectors, all of us, all our member states, shall start thinking and acting as a regional bloc instead of looking at it in an individual perspective. And that requires more than goodwill, it demands international collaboration. We need to build a cohesive environment where public-private partnerships are supported by harmonized regulatory frameworks, where regional investment pipelines are transparent and also accessible. The Sri Lankan delegation would like to propose 5 ideas to create a cohesive environment across the Bimstec region. One is that we hold this annual Bimstec conclave every year. We come together, we discuss potential areas of collaboration, discuss gaps, bottlenecks, and see where we could potentially cooperate. We can also, I think this was mentioned a couple of times during this conclave from morning, we could establish the Bimstec Ports Coordination Center as soon as we possibly can. Then we can also have capacity building programs. And when I say capacity building, it's also important to focus on cross-border investments. It's equally important, just like all the ideas that I've suggested, it's important to make it easier for private companies and finances from across Bimstec member states to invest across borders in joint ventures or infrastructure funds. So this could potentially be supported through multilateral guarantee agencies, regional infrastructure funds. We could also include insurance instruments which could de-risk projects. And also, when I also say capacity building, it's important that we institutionalize within Bimstec. I think this is something the Bimstec Secretariat could do. We should institutionalize peer learning and knowledge sharing. We need regular structured platforms for exchange of not just expert forums like this, but also technical workshops where our ports authorities, PPP units, and even ministries could come together, share sample contracts and concession models, where we could discuss what's worked for us, what hasn't. We could also solve legal bottlenecks or logistical bottlenecks together and collaborate together. And the Sri Lankan delegation believes that taken together, these steps would move us from ambition to execution. They would convert the region, especially the Bimstec region, from a collection of maritime plans into a regional maritime powerhouse, one that is investor-friendly, future-focused, and united in purpose. Thank you.
Prabhashri. Now we come to Mr. Siddiqui once again. Can you give us, what are the ongoing projects on PPP in Bangladesh ports? Can you give us some details about it?
Okay, thank you for coming back to me again. The current PPP Act of Bangladesh leverage all the ports to formulate its own concession agreement. This is the first positive note. And as you know that whereas the country's GDP is about 6% in recent years, the ports growth is about double of that. So that demands a lot of cargo and ships to visit in Bangladesh. And to cater this demand, we don't have other options but to adopt this PPP model, which enable us to make this business competitive and cost effective. So this is very important. Following this path, the government has taken a lot of initiatives, especially port-led developments. As I said, few of the initiatives already ongoing and few of them already adopted. To give you a reference, as of now, our second seaport, the Mongla port, has already in a process of implementing 2 PPP projects. And country's first ever PPP project has already been in operation, the Potenge Container Terminal, which is the first ever global operator being engaged in Bangladeshi ports, which with an annual throughput about 0.5 millions. And in the Bay Terminal, the Chittagong Port's major development projects, we have 3 MOUs and 3 public-private partnership MOU has already been signed with PSA, Singapore Edit Port, and DP World. So these are the ongoing. But in terms of potentiality, the Matabari Development Initiative the whole regions is a huge potential for future PPP partnerships. And we encourage all the member countries and Bimstec beyond to come and invest in Bangladesh. We assure that from Bangladesh perspective that the ease of doing business will be increased, the subsidies of tariffs and ease of procedure will be ensured. And in terms of the third seaport, Paira Port, is going to be the second energy hub for Bangladesh. As of now, we have 6,000 acres of land. It's ready for investment, which can act as a gateway for especially our landlocked neighborhoods and the eastern part of India, northeastern states. So as a whole, Bangladesh not only eyeing to serve the 180 million as of now, we are aiming to serve the 262 million around its neighbors. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sidki. Now, we once again come to Mr. Tuneluvin. We all agree on the concept of private sector participation for the substantial development of the maritime port industry. Can you let us know about the possible ways to foster or leverage the private sector investment in this sector? Thank you.
Thank you. The private sector investment and private sector operation or the port operations is more developed for the country economy. Every country, the port business is about directly cooperation to preparation to country economy. Port business can do more, doing business more faster and faster for the port operation, more business grow. And that's government is a private government sector is the only regulatory is more the best. Private sector can do is more operational, more innovation, more good doing business and more successful. In this case, private sector promoting is good for the port sector operation. Government is can do for the hand control the mechanism is it must be do the contract or the between private sector and private sector. This is very important for the private and public cooperation. In future, most of the country operation or the port is public sector is less, private sector is more. In my country, based on the Bid Operate Transport BOT system and the JV system, I'm doing for invite private sector promotion. At that, the private sector can do it for all container port, general cargo port, tanker port, and the DC port. In western corridor of my country, the DC port is operated by private. The drop is 22 meter, LOA is 300 meter, DWT 300,000, very large crew line was calling to that port. In Yangon port, my country is a river port. The drop is 10.5 meter, LOA is 300 meter, container capacity is 2,600 and the 500,000 deadweight and general cargo was calling. The private sector operate port is can handle only 5 days or finish to the 500,000 general cargo. Container 2,600 is only 24 hours, maximum 48 hours. Within that period, cargo handling is very rapidly In this case, private sector operation is very important for the port sector development. Thank you.
Thank you. One or two questions from the audience for the panelists. If somebody wants to raise any question to the panelists, kindly raise your hand. Okay. Let me thank everybody, thank my panelists. What we have seen that this session has clearly highlighted the public-private partnership are no longer an option, but a necessity. If we are to bridge the infrastructure gap in the maritime domain across the Bimstec region, there is no alternative. And what we have heard that the meaning about the enabling frameworks, the successes and challenges, and most importantly, the shared aspirations for the greater regional integration and the sustainable port-led growth. What has been made out, that how this the PPP that we have heard from the panelists, that it had reduced the time factor. What Mr. Hannad has brought down, that in his own port, Paradeep, the port development, one of the jetty development has been reduced from 5 years to 3 years. How it has been made successful through the dispute resolution mechanism, tariff flexibility. And though Bangladesh is a late entry, but they have also evolved and they've developed their own authority, single window system for dealing with the PPP projects. Sri Lanka and Myanmar, they have started very early, about what have been told in 1980s, and their strategic planning, and they have developed policy ecosystem. And what the suggestion has come, that this PPP meeting among the Bimstec region should be held very frequent, that is every year. There will be more coordination, and there should be also capacity building mechanisms should be evolved. And Bangladesh and Myanmar has also highlighted how the trade and community have been involved in this port-led development, how PPP has been made part of the government ecosystem. So it is very clearly highlighted that this has become the necessity. And I thank everybody for participating and listening to all the panelists. Thank you very much.
I request our speakers and our moderator to kindly stay with us as we have to thank you. And let me invite Dr. Ramana Murthy, Financial Advisor and Chief Accounts Officer, Visakhapatnam Ports Authority, and Captain S. Divakar, Chief General Manager, Dredging Corporation of India, to come and help us thank our eminent moderator and our panelists. So we can do it one by one. We start with our moderator. And let us put our hands together, ladies and gentlemen, once again for Sri Rathendra Raman, Chairman, Shyam Mukherjee Port Authority. Thank you very much, sir. Shri P.L. Harnath, Chairman, Paradeep Port Authority. Thank you very much, sir. And we now thank Ms. Prabhashvi Kahathuduva, Assistant Director, Economic Affairs, Multilateral, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Sri Lanka. And now we request Captain Divakar to please help us thank from Bangladesh, Mr. Muhammad Ataul Siddiqui, the Assistant Harbour Master, Chittagong Port Authority. And finally, ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Ramana Murthy is going to thank from Myanmar, Mr. Zortun Luen. Mr. Zortun Luen, thank you so much. The Managing Director, Myanmar Port Authority, Ministry of Transport and Communications. And I request you to please give us a group photo opportunity very quickly. Captain Divakar, may I also request you to please join in, and Dr. Ramana Murthy, please be with us in the photo. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, very quickly from here on, we will go on to the next session. But this session has been truly, truly very enriching Our eminent panelists have enriched the conversation on unlocking private sector participation and charting a collaborative path forward for port development across the Bimstec region. I thank you very much once again. And we thank our eminent moderator for steering that wonderful and timely conversation. Thank you, sir. With that, ladies and gentlemen, we'll now go on to this next session on recalibrating global supply chains, strategic opportunities for South and Southeast Asia. And we're just going to take a moment, less than a minute, to reset the days, which is why I will urge you and request you to please remain seated. Actually, the next theme is also very timely and vital. It's about recalibrating global supply chains, strategic opportunities for South and Southeast Asia. And this is a session that you cannot miss, ladies and gentlemen. This is session 2 of this second edition of Bimstec Conclave. A session that turns our focus outward, actually, towards emerging global dynamics and the strategic role our region can play in shaping the future of maritime trade. So please stay with us, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, as the global geopolitical landscape undergoes a profound shift, the Bay of Bengal region has the opportunity to emerge as a resilient, efficient, and future-ready trade corridor. And with growing interest in diversified manufacturing hubs and realigned supply routes, Bimstec member nations are well positioned to step up, not just individually, but through meaningful regional collaboration. And so this session becomes important because it will explore how coordinated action, policy alignment, and port-led development can reposition our region in the global maritime value chain. Just give us, ladies and gentlemen, 30-40 seconds and we will get started. So while the name cards are coming to an end. So ladies and gentlemen, we're just a couple of seconds away from resetting the days, but we can definitely invite our eminent moderator and panelists so that we get started with the, the gratitude ceremony that we need to do of giving them flowers, welcoming them. So let me invite first our moderator, Dr. Shishir Shrotriya, Center Head, CMEC, RIS, Center for Maritime Economy and Connectivity, Research and Information System. There he is, Dr. Shishir Shrotriya, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, sir. Let's welcome him, everybody. And I'm also going to request at this juncture our eminent panelists to kindly please step up on stage. From Sri Lanka, we have Rear Admiral Prema Ratne. Mr. Prema Ratne, he is the Director General of Personnel with the Sri Lankan Navy. So let's welcome him with a huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Rear Admiral Mr. Prema Ratne. From Nepal, may I take the privilege of calling Mr. Bhimarjun Adhikari, Joint Secretary, Ministry of Physical Infrastructure and Transport. So Joint Secretary, Ministry of Physical Infrastructure and Transport, Government of Nepal. Mr. Bhimarjun Adhikari, warm welcome. From India, we have Commodore P.R. Hari. He's not there. From India, we also have Shri Venkatesh Pati, the Joint Secretary of Shipping. Let's welcome him with a huge round of applause. From Thailand, we are being joined by Professor Ruth Banamyong, Department of International Business, Logistics and Transport, Thammasat University, Bangkok, also a Port Commissioner, Thailand. Welcome, sir. And Captain Yogesh Shah from IMU. Let's welcome Captain Yogesh Shah from IMU. And with that, I'm going to now request once again Captain S. Divakar to please join us on stage, the Chief General Manager, Dredging Corporation of India, to start by welcoming Dr. Shishir Shrotriya first, Center Head, Center for Maritime Economy and Connectivity, RIS. Let's welcome him with a bouquet of flowers. And Dr. Ramana Murthy, Financial Advisor and Chief Accounts Officer, Visakhapatnam Ports Authority. We request you, sir, to also help us. Captain T. Srinivas from Visakhapatnam Ports Authority will do the honors. Please help us thank from Sri Lanka Rear Admiral, Director General Personnel, Sri Lanka Navy, Rear Admiral Prema Ratne ji. Let's have a huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for Rear Admiral Mr. Prema Ratne, Director General Personnel, Sri Lankan Navy. And Captain Divakar from Nepal, please help us thank Mr. Bhimarjun Adhikari, Joint Secretary, Ministry of Physical Infrastructure and Transport, Nepal. And Captain Srinivasan, sir, we request to please help us thank at this juncture Professor Ruth Banamyong from Thailand. Thank you for the applause, ladies and gentlemen. We can have a good round of applause in the audience. Captain Divakar, please help us thank Joint Secretary Shipping, Shri Venkatesh Pati. Let's thank him and welcome him. Let's have a huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. And Captain Yogesh from IMU is being thanked by Captain Srinivasan. Captain T. Srinivasan, sir, we request you to please thank Captain Yogesh from IMU. So with that, thank you very much. These are our eminent panelists. Ladies and gentlemen, we are honored to have this esteemed panel indeed. We welcome them once again. I hand over the proceedings once again now to our moderator, Dr. Shishir Shrotriya. Sir.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's a wonderful feeling to be present here in this second session with such illustrious panel to be talking on a very important aspect of recalibrating global supply chain, strategic opportunities for South and Southeast Asia. Well, you're all aware about the global geopolitics and the supply chain disruptions going around due to various reasons. And in the recent years, they have exposed many vulnerabilities in the global supply chains. Now, the traditional supply chains are also need to be diversified and made more resilient. That's one aspect. But other than that, the Bimstec region has a great opportunity for realigning these supply chains and realigning manufacturing, realigning supplies, and to the benefit of not only Bimstec region, but also for the global good. So this unique location of the Bimstec region, combined with the region's complementary economic strengths, positions Bimstec as a potential hub for new manufacturing clusters, not only in the maritime field, but in the other areas of industry and industrial growth. As you're aware, many speakers in the past have talked about the Bimstec Agreement on Maritime Transport Cooperation, which will enhance the port connectivity and streamline operations, reduce logistic cost, etc. But other than that, it's crucial that we find our collective strength together. And to unravel this collective strength today, we have a very eminent panel with us. They have already been introduced to all of you. And I would request the first speaker, Rear Admiral Premaratna, to kindly highlight the strengths of Sri Lanka with respect to this important aspect of recalibrating global supply chains. You've already heard the importance of the Port of Colombo and the importance of Sri Lanka and Bimstec region with respect to the strategic opportunities. The previous sessions have highlighted, also the country session of Sri Lanka highlighted this measure. But more than that, I would request Admiral Premaratna to focus on deepening this regional integration and prioritizing the other aspects of investments and integration which could lead to collective growth of this region. So ladies and gentlemen, Rear Admiral Premaratna, may I request him to continue with this presentation, please.
Distinguished panelists, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, very good evening to you all. First of all, we are deeply saddened by the tragic Air India crash. Our heartfelt condolences go out to the families and loved ones of the victims, and also may you find strength and solace during this profound, difficult time. Our thoughts, prayers are with you all. Ladies and gentlemen, we convene today at a critical juncture in a global economy. Let me forgive that because I have to change the slides because my laptop is not connected to the cable, so I have to do the extra work. So the structure of international supply chains is being rapidly reshaped, not only by the pursuit of efficiency, but increasingly by geopolitical tensions, climate-related disruptions, and the accelerating pace of digitalization. These forces are transforming global trade routes and redefining strategic priorities. In this evolving landscape, South and Southeast Asia are uniquely positioned to step forward. Our shared geography, growing economic strength, and deepening regional cooperation present a powerful opportunity not just to engage in global commerce, but to help shape its future. Ladies and gentlemen, this presentation will explore how Bimstec can become a central pillar of the new supply chain architecture through enhanced connectivity, robust maritime security, digital transformation, and workforce development. This is not just about adapting the changes, it is about leading it with vision, investment, and unity. We can turn today's disruption into the tomorrow's prosperity. Ladies and gentlemen, the global supply chain environment is experiencing a profound transformation. The COVID-19 pandemic, US-China trade tensions, and recent geopolitical conflicts such as Ukraine war and tensions in the Indo-Pacific have exposed the fragility of existing supply networks. Companies and countries alike are now seeking ways to make their supply chains more resilient, diversified, and sustainable. The geopolitical shifts of recent years have made this region more significant than ever. Multinational companies are adapting China's searching for alternative manufacturing destinations. The Bay of Bengal offers proximity to the major sea lanes connecting the Indian Ocean to the Pacific. Also, the rising consumer markets in South and Southeast Asia make it attractive not just as production base, but also a consumption hub. Seize these opportunities, Bimstec countries must enhance cooperation and deepen regional integration efforts. This creates unique opportunity for regions like South and South Asia, especially for Bimstec countries to emerge as new manufacturing and trade hubs. In response to growing concerns over reliance on single country, stronger regional ties among Bimstec members may significantly influence the future of maritime trade. This means that the business can no longer rely on single source supply chains without significant risk. As examples, attacks on vessels by the Houthi rebels in the Red Sea have disrupted international trade on the shortest route between Europe and Asia. Due to these attacks, have pushed several commercial vessels passing through the Suez Canal and the Bab el-Mandeb Strait to take an alternative and much longer route around South Africa's Cape of Good Hope, causing major changes and delays. These disruptions have added an estimated 14 days or the $1 million voyage to the Asia-Europe routes, forcing companies to seek alternatives of long and more expensive pathways. Consequently, the primary criteria for supply chain management have shifted dramatically. Where once the focus was solely on efficiency, minimizing costs, and optimizing inventory, the paramount emphasis is now on building resilience and flexibility. This ensures supply chains can withstand and adapt to unforeseen shocks. The Bimstec encompasses a significant portion of the global population and economy. I think that several times emphasis on this matter. It unites 1.8 billion people, or the 22% of the world population, and combined GDP of 5.2 trillion as per the 23 estimate. Also connects South and Southeast Asia, which is 7 member countries. It sits at the heart of the Bay of Bengal, a region that serves as a major artery for global maritime trade, handling 25% of global trade goods annually. Also, Bimstec enhanced connectivity and cultural exchanges, leveraging its unique geographic location. This collective strength offers a formidable market and vast workforce. So as an example, there are over 120 vessels that transit south of the Sri Lanka daily in the Indian Ocean shipping route. This likely includes larger container ships and tankers en route between Asia, the Middle East, Africa, and Europe. The Bay of Bengal itself is a vital maritime space that not only supports intra-regional trade and transport connectivity, but also links international maritime trade routes between the Indian Ocean and Pacific Ocean, underscoring its pivotal role in global commerce. When considering the location efficiency or the benefit, the considered significant time savings, a route from Chittagong, Bangladesh, to Rotterdam, the Netherlands, just take 14 days compared to Shanghai, 22 days. This inherent geographical advantage translates directly into faster transit times and reduce lead time for global supply chains. In Sri Lankan perspective, the apparel industry, a major export sector in Sri Lanka, benefits significantly from its efficiency. For instance, a clothing retailer in Europe can receive garment from the Sri Lankan manufacturer in about 12 to 14 days, compared to 18 to 20 days from a Southeastern Asian country like Vietnam or Indonesia. This time advantage strengthens Sri Lanka's competitiveness in the time-sensitive industries where quick delivery is critical to meet market demands. Also, in the region offers compelling cost advantages. The average port handling cost in Bimstec is about $85 per TEU, significantly lower than the Shanghai's 120 per TEU, making it more economically viable option for manufacturers. In Sri Lankan apparel manufacturer exports, as example, 1,000 TEUs of clothing annually to Europe via the port of Colombo. The cost for handling these containers would be approximately 1,000 into 85, it's 85,000. If the same shipment were routed to Shanghai, the manufacturing cost will be 120,000 US dollars, and by using that supports, the manufacturer saves almost $35,000 annually, as an example. When it comes to the risk diversifications, critically, when major shipping lanes like the Suez Canal face disruptions, the Bay of Bengal can serve as the world insurance policy, providing reliable alternative routes and enhancing global supply chain resilience. Therefore, Bimstec should proactively market itself, not only as a cost-effective alternative, but critically, as reliable and stable partner in an increasingly volatile global economic landscape. This offering lower geopolitical risks and greater predictability in trade policies, which are now paramount for global businesses. So, enhanced regional cooperation is critical for building resilient and efficient chains. A cornerstone of this effort is the adoption of Bimstec Master Plan for Transport Connectivity in 2022 that subsequent panels will discuss further in this topic. This comprehensive plan outlined 267 transport projects with 216 focused on physical infrastructure and 51 on soft infrastructure, very importantly, clearly underscoring the region's commitment to advancing integrated connectivity. The Kaladan corridor case study is a multimodal route, is prime example of our efforts to enhance connectivity. It strategically connects Calcutta Port, Sittwe Port, Myanmar, via sea, and Sittwe to Parativa, Myanmar, via the Kaladan River, and subsequently Parativa to India's northeast via the road. How important is that software infrastructure? While physical infrastructure is essential, facilitating smoother through transport arrangements and reducing cross-border regulatory barriers are just as important. Currently, the inability of road transporters to cross borders leads us to increase transport and transaction costs, hindering trade. Harmonizing custom procedures, simplifying regulations, and enabling seamless cross-border movement are as crucial as physical infrastructure for reducing these costs, improving overall efficiency, and truly integrating regional supply chains. This holistic approach makes the region significantly more attractive for global manufacturers seeking seamless operations. The stability and security is a paramount important when it comes to the maritime domain. These are the fundamental economic prosperity and regional integration. A robust supply chain, particularly one heavily reliant on maritime transport, cannot function effectively without foundational maritime security. Safeguarding the prosperity and the security of the Bay necessitates an active and collaborative approach to addressing pervasive challenges such as maritime crimes, including terrorism, drug trafficking, act of piracy, and the illicit transport of migrants. The Bay of Bengal faces significant threats that directly impact the trade reliability. We have seen concerning increase with the 37 attacks reported in the Bay of Bengal from January to May 2025, representing a 41% year-over-year increase. This directly raises insurance costs and operational risks for shipping.
Can I request you to conclude?
Yes, please. Yeah, with the time frame, I will shift to that final slide. And can I have one?
Yes.
Yes. When it comes to the Sri Lanka's perspective, that Sri Lanka is fully committed for delivering its assets to support Bimstec goals, and the Colombo port is poised to serve as the central hub for the region. In 2024, the Port of Colombo handled an unprecedented 7.8 million plus TEUs. All the terminals in the Port of Colombo have contributed to this significant growth. And the East Container Terminal boasts 3 million TEU capacity and 18-meter draft, capable of handling largest container vessels, making it critical node for the global trade. Also, our Maritime Rescue Coordination Center.
Ratna, I'm sorry, we will come back to you with some highlighted points on the topic once again during the discussion. So we have next in line our eminent speaker from Nepal, Mr. Bhimarjun Adhikari, Joint Secretary, Ministry of Physical Infrastructure and Transport. And as Admiral Premaratne highlighted the importance of multimodal cargo and resilient routes, so I would request him to highlight the importance of resilience in the multimodal routes, and how is it important for Nepal for the global supply chain integration and resilience?
Thank you, moderator, sir. Respected moderator, respected panelists, distinguished delegates from the Bimstec member countries, ladies and gentlemen, I'm really happy to be here in front of you and to speak some words about these crucial topics, recalibrating global supply chains, strategic opportunities for South and Southeast Asia. I think this is a crucial topic that we are going to discuss. We all agree that recalibration is essential, but how to recalibrate this supply chain system which will be fit to our region, that to the Bimstec region is the crucial question, and we are going to discuss about the issue. So let me to concentrate on the question that the moderator, esteemed moderator, have asked to me. This is about the multimodal connectivity. So this program is basically to discuss about the maritime connectivity, which is definitely it's quite important for all the countries. At the same time, multimodal connectivity is quite important. Multimodal connectivity, that is maritime connectivity, and beyond the maritime connectivity, it's maybe road connectivity, rail connectivity, and inland waterway connectivity. For the country like Nepal, because we are the landlocked countries and surrounded by lands in our side, all sides of our country. So for the landlocked country like Nepal, multimodal connectivity is quite important, because and up to the maritime or up to the ports, the maritime connectivity will be there for the long distance haulage. Then from maritime or from port, how these goods will be transported to the country, to the respective countries, whether by roads or by rails or by inland waterway. That is crucial. That is also the crucial for our country. So like in Nepal, when we transport the goods up to the, let's say, up to the Kolkata port by maritime way, then from Kolkata port, whether how to transport these goods, either by road from Kolkata to Nepal, or by rail from Kolkata to Nepal, or by inland transport from Kolkata to Nepal. So definitely the cost consequence comes in first. So the inland contract, inland connectivity, which is the untapped potential till time, we have not transported from the inland waterway. So till the time, Nepal is utilizing the road connectivity and railway connectivity to transport the goods from ports to the Nepal. So Nepal is providing high priority for the development of roads and railways, because roads is the dominant mode of transport in Nepal. And about 90% of the transport that goes from the road, either from Kolkata port or from Visakhapatnam port. So government of Nepal is prioritizing the development of road corridors, especially the trade corridors. The corridors which connects Nepal, the main cities of Nepal, including capital city, to the international border. If we talk about the trade with the Bangladesh, then Kakadabita is the international point. Then we have already started the upgrading of the roads to multi-lane highways that connects Kathmandu and the other main cities to the Kakadabita border, considering the trade with Bangladesh to the multi-lane highways. Similarly, considering the trade with India, we have already initiated the upgrading of the roads that connects the international border, maybe in Birganj, Raxul, or Biratnagar, Jogbani. We are going to upgrade these roads to multi-lane highways. So government of Nepal is providing high priority to invest. We are investing huge amount of money, giving priority to the international connectivity and giving priority for the trade and to enhance the trade connectivity, and so that we have already initiated to upgrade our road system to multi-lane highways. So at the same time, development of inland container depot, ICD and ICB is quite important for Nepal, and government have already prioritized the development of ICTs and ICPs for Nepal. So considering these, all the Nepal, we have, at this time, we are going to upgrade our connectivity by roads, and these roads are going to be upgraded to multi-lane highways, and government is investing huge amount of money to upgrade the roads to multi-lane highways. So all the road projects that we are going to upgrade, these projects are called, categorically these projects are called at the priority 1 projects, that is the projects with first priority in Nepal. So this shows how the Nepal is providing priority for the international connectivity by upgrading its roads infrastructure, and this is the time to upgrade the infrastructure. At the same time, in the morning, we have discussed about the Bimstec Transport Master Plan. It means that Bimstec Transport Master Plan for road, for rail, and for inland waterway. So multimodal transport connectivity is important to all the member states of Bimstec, including Nepal, and especially for the landlocked countries like Nepal. And again, this is quite important. So this is from my side. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, Mr. Adhikari, for your remarks. And next we have in line a global expert on supply chain and supply chain resilience, Professor Ruth Banyamyang, and he is an eminent academician. In the morning he told us during country remarks that he is having a dual hat or a triple hat, and he is also a port commissioner. So may I request you to highlight to the audience what are the actionable points which are required for Bimstec? What is the experience you've gained from your integration with ASEAN, and how the Bimstec countries can get benefited with the actionable points? Thank you.
Okay, thank you, thank you. The lowest total cost. And this is why we have seen that from the raw materials to the production, to the assembly, and then up to the delivery to the final consumer, the goods travel long distances, right? So this is really what we have seen in the past. And then after the COVID, what they call the new normal, there has been a shift in the design of the supply chain. Today, we tend to focus, and the discussion is very, very much on how can we design and enable regionalized supply chain. And I think this is where it's very interesting, because as everyone knows, there's this country where people are not very sure what they're doing, because it changes every day. So that country is, of course, the US. We don't know. It's like watching a reality TV. Right? One day he says this thing, the other day he says another thing, and then he gets into argument with his friends. So he must be very stressed, or not, I'm not sure. Anyway, so with all of these uncertainties, this is what needs to happen. Supply chains needs to be shorter so that they can become more responsive. But having shorter supply chain is not easy. Why is that? The reason is that we need to understand who makes the decision in the design of the supply chain. Today we are here gathered, and most of the speakers, we are from the government. I am also from the government, and we try to create this ecosystem to facilitate. But I think it's very critical to understand the thinking of the various multinationals. How do they make that decision? Because if the multinationals don't see the big picture or the regional picture, then it becomes very difficult to redesign the supply chain and to enable this connectivity between Southeast Asia and South Asia. If you look at this picture here, this framework to enhance connectivity, and I go back also to what my colleague from Sri Lanka was sharing with the ADB master plan. Have you noticed one thing? I've got nothing against the ADB. I work for them as a consultant. But it's a document that was made by them, by consultants. Nothing against consultant too, because I'm also a consultant. However, my question is, from and have we agreed upon priorities?
both national priorities and regional priorities. Because for regional priorities, the big question is this: who is going to finance a regional infrastructure project? National, yes, we can have PPP, we can use our own budget. But when it becomes a regional public good, it is not easy. And when you look at the picture here, you see there are a lot of projects or plans, and everyone is thinking the same ways. How do we connect between these two regions, between ASEAN and the Bimstec? One of the key challenges is, if we talk about ASEAN, we are in what we call the ASEAN Economic Community, single market, single production base. However, in the Bimstec, the discussion on the free trade area is going on, it stops, and then it goes on, and then it stops. So it's also very important that if we look at it from a connectivity perspective, Bimstec and ASEAN also needs to be aligned. That is something that is critical. So not wanting to confuse everyone, but there's such a multitude of projects here. My question would be this: what's the key priority project, number 1, number 2, number 3, for the Bimstec, to enable this connectivity and to create this ecosystem for regional supply chain? So let me give you, and this is my academic hat, let me give you some theoretical foundation for this. And the theoretical foundation I want to share is fragmentation theory. So this is part of Paul Krugman's New Economic Geography, where the idea is this. In the past, what you would notice when there's a product that is manufactured is that you have the factory, and then you have the suppliers that are located very close to the factories. We have had this example, like in Japan, of the Toyota City, where you have the assembly plant and basically the city around other suppliers. However, because of the cost involved, the multinationals are now looking at other countries where they can manufacture the components at a cheaper cost. But as you know, if you go and invest and have suppliers in other countries where they can manufacture at a lower cost, you're still faced with a key risk. What is that risk? The connection, the connectivity. And this is why fragmentation is important, because one of the conditions, if we are to be successful in this, fragmented supply chain, is that you need to have what they call here SL, service linkages. What are service linkages? It's all about logistics, how logistics connect between the various nodes. So from a macro perspective, us as a government, ports, we are one node, and we're there to enable these service linkages. But we're not manufacturing the product, but we're here to help the suppliers, the assemblers, the consumers, so that they get access to the goods themselves. So the key condition is we need to have reliability in the system so that we have these service linkages. And how do we achieve this? We need to be able to see what is happening in the supply chain. So that is all about the visibility. Keyword, we want to integrate, we want to connect ASEAN and South Asia. We need to have visibility. If we don't have visibility, we don't get a sense. We have no idea what is happening. Right? So what do we need to do? This is very basic. We need to be able to identify the flows. Flows from raw material to components, from components to final product, from final product to consumer. We need to have that map. We need to have that map at the Bimstec level. We need to have that map at the ASEAN level and see how they connect. And we need to engage with the multinationals even more. Then we will understand, and then us as a public sector, as a port, as the various ministries that are involved in transportation, in infrastructure, then we can devise a plan better and coordinate our approach. So in terms of strategic opportunities, I basically have 2 points. One is, of course, the nearshoring and the friendshoring. So basically meaning we are focusing on regionalized supply chain, but also looking to see where we can design the network that we are amongst friends. And that has become quite important, this concept of friend shoring. This morning in my introductory statement, I said what is critical is trust. If we trust each other, we see ourselves as friends, then it makes sense to develop regional supply chain within a group. Second point, which no one has touched upon yet, is the sustainability dimension. Because a lot of supply chain today now have to become more and more sustainable, so green, and all of these circular supply chain, because there's a lot of pressure on it. However, and this is my caveat, and in fact this is my last slide, is there's still a lot of challenges. Because in the past, the supply chain that were designed and that were coming into a region were mostly focused on cost. Then they focus on reliability, on our resilience capability. But today, we must not forget that the dimension of sustainability has become a critical factor in the design of the supply chain. However, it is very, very complicated, and who can take the leadership? You ask the private sector, they comply, but they're not that happy. So in fact, it goes back to us as policymakers to enable that ecosystem so that we are able to have not only resilient supply chain, but also sustainable supply chain. And with this, I would like to end my short presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Ruth, for focusing on the regionalized supply chain, showing those graphs, and mentioning that companies should be manufacturing in Asia and selling globally. We would come back to you after the round is over to ask specifically which all industries can integrate in the Bimstec region where we have the strategic advantage, and what could be the roadmap for that in a very short thing. But you mentioned about the fragmented factory, which is a must, and we'll come back to it. Next, we have a policy maker. You touched upon the policy. We have a policy maker with us, Joint Secretary Shipping from the Ministry of Port Shipping and Waterways, Mr. Venkat. So kindly, Mr. Venkat, kindly highlight what in your domain of policy making and the other aspects would be crucial in the Bimstec region for attracting these shifts and getting resilient to the supply chains, and how can the regional corridors and the policy coordination be leveraged to integrate Bimstec more effectively?
Thank you very much, Dr. Shishir. I'll be very short. I have 4 specific points. I don't have a PPT. The first one, when we are talking about the policy making, we talk about standardization. What containers have done for this particular sector, especially to the ports, it has not happened in other sectors. What is produced, it is not provided in a form that can be easily transported. So there are difficulties in movement, which basically is logistics. Even if it's going to be available, it's going to be costly. So we need to have standardization across all the countries with whom we want to do business. And it's not only a policy, it should come from the industry. The industry should standardize, and as policymaker, I believe as a catalyst, I should react less and allow people to react more, and ensure that the outputs are achieved towards a common goal. That is number one. Second one is the harmonization. Even if the product is a standardized one, we have different processes, procedures, and it takes a long time. You can find even within the country, you can find lots of queues formed up at different locations. And talk about the border transportation, it's going to be on the higher side. So we need to have the trust. I take it from Professor Ruth. We need to have the trust and ensure that a standardized product is coming with an associated process, and ensure that it is taken forward. Number 3 is the digitalization, whatever we are doing, we are in a digital world. You are here, I don't carry my wallet. Basically, I just go with my mobile phone, I can purchase anything. Be that 1 rupee, 100 rupee or a lakh rupee, it is all the same. So for the business to flourish, we need to ensure digitalization is available. If we need to have that, we need to have data-driven decision making. We need to have a strong vendor base who will be able to provide you with all the information. We need to create the platform in which people can talk with each other. When there is standard process, when there is standardized products, the talking is going to be much easier and faster. And finally, skilling. The most important resource is human resource. Without the brain, we are going nowhere. And it's essential to skill and upskill and reskill people. Sometimes unskilling is also necessary with few of them. So we need to have these 4 factors, and these are the ones we are looking at from a policy point of view. Thank you.
Thank you so much for highlighting very important aspect of standardization. And if you have to sell globally, this is the very key aspect which will enable our industry to be globally ready. Of course, in the end, you gave a clue about the human resource, which is very, very vital and very important resource, especially in Asia, especially in the Bimstec region, with such a populous and highly skilled region. So we have an expert from Indian Maritime University, Captain Yogesh Shah, who's requested to highlight the importance of the knowledge products, especially for capturing these global supply chain shifts, and the training and capacity building, which is very, very important, and in which areas he would like us to strengthen this base. If you could highlight this, Captain Shah, then I think Bimstec region would get benefited. Thank you.
Respected panelists, distinguished guests, delegates, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. You can easily make out an academician sitting amongst the group as the odd man out. So yes, I am an academician, and let me stress here the importance of training. You can start a business with an idea, money and manpower, but for that business to sustain, you need a skilled manpower. And for that, academia is there. They will skill your manpower. They will provide the training. You want to grow your industry. You need research. You need innovation. Academia is there to give you research, to do the innovation. Then another important thing is, when academia is there, your issues related to industry sometimes faces certain problems. For example, environmental issues, or there could be accidental issues where action-based research is required, where a problem-based study is required, where academia can do the job and provide you guidance. If we take an example with respect to Bimstec countries, 3 of the Bimstec countries are there in the ship recycling. Bangladesh being the global leader with largest recycling LDT, followed by India, which is green shipbreaking, minimizing the pollution that happens will need research, where academia's help will be important. Basically, we don't need a generic training. We need industry-based training. For different industry, the needs are different. And for that, academia can help. So, in fact, I had discussion with one of the Bimstec countries' partner outside some time back, and he was not much aware about the process related to, it's a landlocked country, and process related to starting a shipping company and making the students join shipping. And I felt at that moment that there is a need for awareness. So why not the academia or the universities of the Bimstec countries come together? They form a forum, and where these issues are discussed, and even the landlocked countries can be guided and they can be provided. And here the leaders or others who are already having many years of experience, they can share their experience and knowledge, and together it will be a win-win situation where even the countries which does not have expertise can be given expertise. Thank you, that is all.
Thank you, Captain Shah, for highlighting the importance of capacity building in this area. Now, we are sitting at a very convenient juncture because after this session is high tea, so there is some time which we can bite in. Of course, we'll be biting outside during high tea. The question remains about specifics, and all of us sitting here are interested in specifics. So I would request our eminent speaker, Professor Ruth, who touched upon the fragmented factory, with some example of Bimstec, if you can highlight a specific example or one or two specific examples of industry which can be augmented or stitched together in this fragmented factory form and can be a global, best-selling item out of this region. Please.
Okay, thank you. And thank you for giving me back the microphone very quickly. So, just to give you a very specific example, and in fact, this example came from when I visited Chennai port, because Chennai is also known as the Detroit of India, if I'm not mistaken. And in fact, there's a number of Thai suppliers, automotive suppliers, that are in Chennai. Thailand sees itself as a Detroit of Asia, so already there is natural complementarity already. But that is for the automotive, and especially with the internal combustion engine at the moment, where it's still very strong. If it's EV, the paths are different. But at least that is a starting point, and you already have Thai companies investing in Chennai. Question, and I know that there's also Indian companies that have invested in Thailand that are suppliers to the automotive industry. So that is a specific example. However, this is what I would like to say. When we look at these complementarity, of course, we can also look at it from an agro-industry perspective. From the information I know is that Myanmar is the #2 exporter in the world of beans and pulses, and where does it go? It goes to India, in terms of the beans and pulses, depending on the year. So there's already quite a number of connectivity, but it's mostly on a bilateral basis. The question is this, is how can we bring and introduce in the supply chain another country so that that other country can provide value added. But that is for goods. And when we look at goods, at the end of the day, we're not really very much in control because it really depends on the multinational, on the headquarters. However, one thing that we haven't really spoken very much about, and maybe that's the discussion for tomorrow, is the service supply chain, especially tourism. How do we create the linkages with tourism, going to Bhutan, going to Nepal? For example, for Thai people, one of the things, because the country is majority Buddhist, is they want to go to various pilgrimage sites, but it's on two sides of the border. It's in Nepal, but it's also in India. How can we create a seamless link like that? Because as you know, going across borders is still not easy. You know, you arrive at the airport, immigration, like when I arrive at Hyderabad, 10 minutes just talking to me, you know, why are you here? Why do you want to come here? And I'm invited for the Bimstec. Okay, what's the Bimstec? So if we can create this seamless, you have more economic activities. So I'm just giving you some specific example of what can be done, but of course we need to discuss, I think, in more details and have the private sector more involved. I like very much with what Captain have said, the role of academia. And if you allow me to propose something, is that when we're thinking of supply chain, developing something, why not use what they call a triple helix model, where you have the government, private sector, and academia together? Because government and private sector, when they talk together, sometimes it doesn't fit very well. They need to have a translator, and that translator is academia. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Ruth, for giving these specifics and highlighting the importance of academia, especially to integrate the other stakeholders. We have the same kind of question to be given to Admiral Premaratna. I cut short his presentation with the request that he will highlight some of the missing points now. So may I request you, Admiral Premaratna.
Thank you very much giving some time to speak on that resilience and the sustainability. Okay, thank you. And actually that sustainability and the resilience is not a competing goals, that other is independent goals, and we have to have some kind of that operational or that security resilience blueprint on this to maintain that resilience of the, because as I mentioned that earlier, that now that most of the companies or that countries are going for the China plus one strategy, because we can't rely on that one country or the one destination for as a manufacturing hub for the manufacturing activities, because of that existing or that ongoing rivalry between that superpowers and the regional powers and some geopolitical interests among the regions. So as a Bimstec countries within the Bay of Bengal, that what I could understand in the Sri Lankan perspective, we have went for that green energy concepts, like we have given providing shore power for the ships once they berth at harbor to reduce or to minimize that pollution, and also that LNG projects also established in the port of Hambantota is also one of the green project. And also we need to have coordinated patrols among the navies within the Bimstec, and also we need to share whatever the information, especially that intelligence when we are policing the seas. That is the main priority, as I mentioned earlier, that security is much concerned when we are going to develop that our maritime hub or that our business ventures, because all depend on the slots or the sea line of communication. So almost that we do have some countries bilateral and the multilateral agreements for sharing intelligence or that information on the maritime incidents and the maritime accidents also. So as a, I think that earlier also the emphasis on that maritime domain awareness is a very much essential and very much important aspect for this region to monitor real time, or they have a good or the common window for all countries to have good security environment. So apart from that, there are many aspects we need to consider, especially that stable or the sustainable policy framework within the country itself, and we have to have trust. I think the morning also emphasized that we have to have a trust among the political parties or that governing party. Otherwise, that there's uncertainty of the giving to that other business ventures or the partners. And earlier that doctor also emphasized that rather than planning, that implementation is the very much important and the essential part of for that region. Because as a practice, what we are doing is that always planning is not a implementation. We do have much plans and projects, but when you're going to implement, then only we are experiencing that how difficult to get into the work. So also we need to go for that many security aspect as well as the joint, I mean that multi-source manufacturing hubs rather than in the single point hub. Because in my presentation, I emphasized that what happened that during the crisis on the Red Sea and how far we need to sail that or the move that ships from east to west or west to east. So those are the kind of things we have to emphasize. I mean that most of the aspects is emphasized during the morning sessions as well as the doctor. And also aligning or not or to the collaborative approach with that ASEAN or some other joint agreements or that organizations within this region also very much helpful, because those countries or the other countries having that more sophisticated and very advanced technologies, we have to adapt and we have to joint with them to enhance our soft, I mean that soft culture advantages. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Admiral Premaratna, for these remarks. So our illustrious panel has highlighted very well that what is the strategic role we all can play together in this attracting the global supply shift and attracting or adjusting to these realignments and capturing these opportunities. These opportunities are because of the cost, time, location, diversification, and so many advantages which these eminent panelists highlighted. More than that, specifics were also given, new dimensions of fragmented factories, etc. were also touched upon. Bimstec or Bay of Bengal region is home to a great amount of marine biodiversity, and improving the integration for marine product value chain is another big opportunity other than what was highlighted on the agro, food processing, and the automotive and the textile value chains. So Bimstec member states are full of resources, full of capable manpower, full of advantages, and with this note and optimism, let us take Bimstec regional cooperation much more forward, make in Asia, make in Bimstec region for the global good and the global world. Thank you.
Thank you very much to our moderator and our eminent panelists. We request you to please stay with us as we need this opportunity to thank you. May I invite Captain S. Divakar, Chief General Manager, Dredging Corporation of India, as well as Captain T. Srinivas, Deputy Conservator of the Visakhapatnam Ports Authority. And Sir, Captain Divakar, let's begin with thanking our moderator, Dr. Shishir Shrotriya, Center Head, CMEC RIS. Let's thank him, ladies and gentlemen, with a huge round of applause. Thank you, sir. And Captain Srinivas, we now go on to Sri Lanka, Rear Admiral, Director General Personnel, Sri Lankan Navy, Rear Admiral Premaratne. Let's have a round of applause. Captain Divakar from Nepal, we need to thank Mr. Bhimarjan Adhikari, Joint Secretary, Ministry of Physical Infrastructure and Transport, Nepal. And thank you for the applause, ladies and gentlemen. Now I request Captain Srinivas to please step forward and thank Professor Ruth Banamyong, Department of International Business, Logistics and Transport, Thammasat University, Bangkok. He's from the Thammasat University in Bangkok, Thailand. And Captain Divakar, I request you to please help us thank Joint Secretary of Shipping, Shri Venkatesh Pati. Let's thank him. And a huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for the applause. Thank you, sir. Shri Venkatesh Pati, Joint Secretary Shipping, ladies and gentlemen. And we also need to thank Captain Yogesh Shah from the Indian Maritime University. And I'm going to request Captain Srinivas to do the honors. From one captain to another. Huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to request Captain Divakar to please stay back with us on stage. Captain Srinivas, I request you to stay back on stage, and I request you, esteemed panelists, to kindly step ahead of the dais and give us a photo opportunity. Ladies and gentlemen, we now have about 23 to 24 minutes for a good tea coffee break, but come back because we will start the next session on time. So we have this, oh, we've got actually a lot of time for the tea break. So we'll come back at 5:30 now for the next session. So enjoy your tea break. Also treat it like a networking opportunity. 5:15. Ladies and gentlemen, we decide that we gather back at 5:15 p.m. if that's all right with you. 5:15 p.m. we come back for the next session, and the next session is equally compelling, and you would not want to miss it. It is a panel discussion on Kaladan Corridor, catalyzing Bay of Bengal port connectivity and regional trade flows. So we've got some 40 minutes for tea coffee break, and then we come back at 5:50. Join us in the room now, since we're going to be starting with session 3 very shortly. Session 3 of this second edition of the Bimstec Ports Conclave. Ladies and gentlemen, may I invite you all to kindly please be seated. This is an invitation to everyone who's still outside in the pre-function area to please join us back in the room and take seats. This is session 3 of the conclave. Ladies and gentlemen, may I request you to please join us back in the room and be seated. This is a request to all our eminent delegates outside. I request you to kindly join us back in the room and be seated. We are going to be starting the next session in about 5 minutes from now. May I invite you to please take seats. Excellencies, esteemed delegates, distinguished guests, this is an invitation. The sounding of the bell is actually an invite to all of you to please reconvene in the room so that we can get started with our next session. Session 3, a session that focuses on one of the most strategically significant infrastructure initiatives in the Bay of Bengal region, the Kaladan Multimodal Transit Transport Project. May I invite you to please be seated. There is a discussion on Kaladan Corridor, catalyzing Bay of Bengal port connectivity and regional trade flows. And we're going to be starting with that session in just about 3 to 5 minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, in just 1 minute, we will begin with this next session, the the panel discussion on Kaladan Corridor, catalyzing Bay of Bengal port connectivity and regional trade flows. And I request you and invite you to please be seated. I thank you very much for your kind cooperation. So, as we begin with this session 3, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to say the challenge of seamless connectivity to India's northeastern states has persisted for decades. The Kaladan corridor, spanning roadways, waterways, and port infrastructure, presents not just a solution but a breakthrough in regional integration, trade efficiency, and diplomatic cooperation. So this session will explore how this corridor can serve as a model for international transit partnerships and unlock new opportunities for port-led development across India, Myanmar, and the wider Bimstec region. And I'm going to now request and invite the esteemed dignitaries gracing this particular panel discussion. We start by inviting our moderator, Professor Prabir De, from the Center for Maritime Economy and Connectivity, RIS. There he is, ladies and gentlemen. Let's welcome him with a huge round of applause. Professor Prabir De. Warm welcome to you, sir. We'd also like to invite from India our eminent panelist, Shri P.K. Roy, Joint Secretary and with the coordination part of IWA and etc., Ministry of Shipping, Ports and Waterways. Warm welcome to you, sir. With that, I'd like to invite from Myanmar, Senior Advisor, Myanmar Institute of Strategic and International Studies, Mr. Lafai Zongoon. Let's welcome him, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Lafai Zongoon. Welcome, sir. We have from Bhutan, Mr. Sonam Bumtab, Regional Director, Industry, Commerce and Employment, Government of Bhutan. Warm welcome again, sir. And from India, we have Shri Sunil Mukundan, Managing Director, India Ports Global Limited. Let's welcome him with a huge round of applause. And with that, I'm now going to request at this juncture, Captain S. Divakar, Chief General Manager, Dredging Corporation of India. And Mr. Ramprasad, the HOD Metals Head. I'm going to request Captain Divakar to please felicitate our moderator. Ladies and gentlemen, can we have that round of applause again? Professor Prabir De. Welcome, sir. Mr. Ramprasad, I'm requesting you, sir, to please help us thank Shri P.K. Roy. He is the Joint Secretary for the coordination part of IWA with the ministry. I'm also going to request Captain Divakar. And now he's going to thank from Myanmar, Mr. Lafai Zongoon. And can we adorn that with a round of applause, please? And now, Mr. Ramprasad, we request you to please thank our Bhutan representative, Mr. Sonam Bumtab, the Regional Director, Industry, Commerce and Employment, Government of Bhutan. And ladies and gentlemen, we have energy in the room, so we could just put our hands together and thank our eminent panelists, please. So let's have a huge round of applause for each of them. And Captain Divakar now thanking Shri Sunil Mukundan, MD, IPGL, India Ports Global Limited. So thank you very much for doing the honors. And with that, now it is my cue to hand over to our moderator, Professor Prabir De, sir. All yours.
Thank you very much for your kind introduction. Is it working? Yeah, thank you very much. We have done little scheduling in our panel discussion. Now, organizer told us to shorten the discussion to 1 hour to 45 minutes. We'll try our best to come to 45 minutes. I have with me 4 eminent speakers. All are known to all of us for multiple reasons. Now, just a little introduction and to motivate them to come to the points on the Kaladan corridor. If I may recollect, in 2003 or 4, this project was initiated. It has a long history. It's a bilateral project between India and Myanmar. It has sort of multimodal, right? That we have been talking from the morning. Several modes of transportation are connected when we talk about Kolkata to Situe to Palewa to Zorinpuri to Aizawl in northeast. There are four key features. One is multimodal. Second is it has a special objective, a strategic objective. What is that? To connect the landlocked part of India, this northeastern part of India primarily, to connect to the Bay of Bengal. Point three, to strengthen the regional value chain, which is Professor Ruth Banomyong in his presentation. He was talking about near shoring, friend shoring. So distance between Situe port in Myanmar all the way to the northeast is something around 300 kilometers, very short. And the last one, which we are going to discuss with, they will be talking about it, that if these are the four key benefits, how do you unlock such potentials? What kind of regulatory convergence is needed? What sort of training capacity building is needed? What kind of a security and resilience? Somebody said it very nicely in the previous presentation. The supply chain is moved from efficiency to resilience. So here, what are going to get through the conversation about security and resilience and the collaborating planning and policy implementations. The routes are, it is just an hypothetical, it is connecting Kolkata to Situe, then Situe to inland IWT, the river called Kaladan, and Palewa, which is about 156 kilometers, from Palewa to Zorinpuri, that is a border between India and Myanmar, 110 kilometers, and then another 100 kilometers in the inside India to get it the highway, and then about 200 kilometers to go to the capital of Mizoram. Today, we take a very long routes from Kolkata all the way to northeast, 1,880 kilometers. But if we take this route, it comes to less than 1,000 kilometers. Right? It makes sense. Given the geopolitical scenario, this Kaladan route is coming up. Its importance is coming up very fast, and several parts of the Kaladan corridors. And I'm going to listen to IWE Joint Secretary, the gentleman representing the IRCON, and Mr. Mukundan, who is running the Situe port. They will be telling us current status, what sort of development has been taking place, what are the challenges, what can be done in a very time-bound manner to complete the Kaladan projects. There were several trial runs in the past, and I know about it. Can we think for some trial run to some extent? There is India's very innovative project in the morning in the inaugural session, Maitri, between India and UAE, the digital. Can we think for kind of a dashboards on Kaladan projects? How do we link Bangladesh other stakeholders? And what sort of a training and capacity building in view of, quote unquote, that we have signed a Maritime Transport Cooperation Agreement in the last April. Since Maritime Transport Cooperation has come in effect, member states are extending national treatment to each other. So this corridor has a special significance. I'm sure they are going to give us some highlights in terms of way forward. So with that, the brief introduction, may I now request our first panelist, Mr. Roy, to take the floor.
Good evening, all. Actually, from the IWI side, I am looking after the IWI side in the ministry. So this project actually was given to IWI as a project development consultant, and the project, of course, is being sponsored by Ministry of External Affairs, and the basic purpose or basic objective of this project was to create connectivity from India through Bangladesh and Myanmar to Aizawl through river routes, inland water. The IWI role as a project development consultant got over in May 2024 itself. Now the IPGL is the looking after the operational part and the difficulties being faced by. The basic objective of this project was to not only create kind of connectivity through river route from India to Aizawl via Bangladesh and Myanmar, but also to create an atmosphere, a conducive atmosphere for developing trade and economic activity in the entire Southeastern Asia region. I would say that Mr. Mukundan, IPGL will give you the further details on this project. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Raj. Very short to save a lot of time. But I guess there is a General Manager Ircon, your colleague. He would like to make a short presentation. His name is there, Mr. Kumar, Himangsu Kumar, I think. So, can you? Yeah. So, can you please make your presentation 5 to 6 minutes, please.
Good afternoon, all. I am giving a small presentation of the Kaladan road projects, progress of the project. Presently, progress is the 16.5.
Can you show the slides, please?
Slides. Please upload. I have given pen drives.
Because his presentation is required slides, otherwise you won't understand what you will be talking. So meanwhile, we move to the next speaker, and then please wait. Sorry about it. Ambassador Gun, our good friend, would you like to speak from here? Or? Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Moderator. Excellencies, distinguished delegates and friends, first of all, allow me to echo the previous speakers in expressing my appreciation to the Ministry of Port, Shipping and Waterways of India for inviting us to this important meeting and warm hospitality extended to us since our arrival to this beautiful port city of Visakhapatnam, in this beautiful city of destiny. I would like to share some aspects about the Kaladan corridor project being undertaken between the government of India and Myanmar, especially for the benefit of Bimstec member countries who are not directly connected to the corridor. An agreement was made for the construction and the operation of multimodal transport facility to connect Kaladan River and the Situi port in Myanmar with the state of Mizoram in India, and protocol for facilitating of Kaladan multi-mode transport in April 2008 to enhance connectivity of the corridor. The scope of the project was dredging of Situi Harbor to accessible 6,000 deadweight ton vessel, construction of RC jetty at Situi for 2,000 DWT vessel, construction of 6 numbers of 30-ton capacity IWT vessel, construction of RC jetty 2 numbers at Situi, Plewa, and for 30 tons of IWT vessels, and so on and so forth. And due to time constraint, I'll shorten some of the paper that I've prepared, and connecting road constructions also. And Palewa and Zongrimpo, a two-lane road project, is a part of Kaladan multimodal transport. The project is grant aid project of India. The framework agreement for the project was signed, and the implementation of this road project constructions and other projects along the corridor will promote the connectivity of and enhancement of economic cooperation along the Kaladan corridor. It will also uplift the prosperity of the people and promote the bilateral trades and regional development and support the seamless movement of people and goods. As such, travel and tourism sector of the corridor will flourish incompatible with other Bimstec ideas and aspirations. In conclusion, I would like to take this opportunity to thank the government of India and the wonderful people for the understanding and cooperation reflecting the good neighborly relations that exist between our two great Bimstec member countries. We sincerely look forward to India's continuous support and cooperation till all the projects are completed. Since the inception of the projects, some works in the pipeline have to be involuntarily delayed due to some unavoidable circumstances. Even today, we foresee some difficulties ahead of us as the world economic order seems to be in a state of transition due to the unpredictable changes taking place in the global trade system. Today, we are witnessing many accepted norms and practices being randomly abused and violated by a certain powerful country. Just a couple of days ago, a disturbing news came out that the US government allegedly proposed to levy 500% tariff on one of the leading Bimstec member countries, citing violation of sanction placed on Russia. I hope the news is not true, but if it were to be true, will there be any rippling effects on the Bimstec aspirations being undertaken in the Kaladan corridor, catalyzing endeavors? If so, how would Bimstec react? In my humble opinion, personal opinion, Bimstec as a group should take a good look into the matter and, if necessary, respond accordingly. With the rise of abnormal activities in the global trade system that we are witnessing today, I presume it is high time that Bimstec revisited the position and reset strategies and frameworks conducive to the changing geopolitics and global economic dynamics. With these remarks, allow me to conclude my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. A short and very powerful presentation, Ambassador. Thank you. Now, may I request Mr. Kumar to take the floor? Sorry, little misunderstanding, but we are waiting for a presentation from you on Kaladan current status. and what the challenges. What point is loaded? Right?
Yes.
Can we show his presentation? Yeah.
Yes.
Over to you.
This is a small presentation, the Kaladan road projects. Present progress of the project.
You operate this one.
Yes.
Can you help? This is not working.
This is the location of the project. Yes. The project location, specific locations for aircon working of 109 kilometers. This is project overviews. This is EPC mode project. This is work awarded on 7th March 2022 and presently original start date is 6/7/2025. We are expected to complete in June. This is the status of ongoing project. Only 2 sections is balanced, other section already work is going on. This is small hindrances. We are targeting the section wise the completion of the work. The overall progress is 16.5 and we are trying to complete in June 2028. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Please take the seat here. Here, Mr. Kumar. Some misunderstanding. So thank you for the presentations. 2028 is the deadline of completions. Well, with that, may I invite a friend from Bhutan. But before he starts, I just add one-liner. In the previous session, the delegates from Bhutan said very important word. I attended the first Bimstec conclave in 2019. This conclave gives me one takeaway. He said with the Bimstec Maritime Transport Corporation, Bhutan is no more landlocked. Such a powerful statement made. So from that point of view, please, Excellency, floor is yours, your intervention.
Very good afternoon. Thank you, Bimstec organizer and the moderator for giving this opportunity to address this forum. I'm very sorry to tell that due to the nomination issues, we are made the last nomination from the Bhutan to come here. So we have not prepared any presentation for this. But still then, the Kaladan port route appears to be very new for Bhutan. We have never heard this name before. And moreover, to be very frank, Bhutan is ferrying all goods from Siliguri territory, from Kolkata, and even from the closest neighboring town, Guwahati. The Bhutan is not having business with the northeastern territory so far. But now I think 2 is always better than 1. So to depending on one route is not secure for Bhutan. So when West Bengal, there's a strike in West Bengal or in Assam, our economy is disrupted. And we are really dependent on the Kolkata port, and without that, we are severely impacted. Our economy is severely impacted, the life in Bhutan is severely impacted. So now, with the Kaladan port, I think as the best, we see it as an alternative route for Bhutan. Though Bhutan is not directly connected to the Mizoram, I think we may need to study the feasibility of transport, the feasibility of traffic, and also the mode of transportations, what are available between the Mizoram and Bhutan. So that study needs to be carried on. And also, like, when there is a political instability in that region, again, the Bhutanese life is threatened, just depending on one single route. So therefore, I think the Kaladan port will definitely be an alternative route for Bhutan, especially for the eastern part of Bhutan, that will really benefit. At the moment, why Bhutan is not trading with the Northern Territory, the main reason is because in the goods that are available in the east are not that affordable for Bhutan when comparing to the goods that we ferry from Calcutta or from Siliguri. So therefore, Bhutanese traders, they prefer to buy or trade with the Siliguri and from Calcutta only. So now I think we could see some relevance in it with the Kaladan ports coming up and with the North Indian get connected with the Kaladan port. I think Bhutan also get connected with the East Asian countries like Thailand, Myanmar. I think it will be a very good opportunity for Bhutan to ferry goods from those countries as well. At present, we are ferrying goods from Thailand through air, which is very expensive, too expensive for Bhutan. So just now, goods in the Bhutan are very expensive because of, the main reason is because of the mode of transport. So since Bhutan is landlocked, we depend on airways, air cargoes, so which is definitely becoming very expensive for Bhutan. So I see very positive energy in Kaladan port. So once that port is operational, Bhutan will definitely need to look into it and look at the feasibility, study the cost effectiveness, and definitely that port will be beneficial for us. So with this, thank you very much for the Bimstec for that opportunity to get Bhutan access to the port lanes. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. He looked at Kaladan multimodal corridor as an option, as an alternative option. And we had an opportunity to go a little deeper in previous occasion. So it is like from Bhutan, Guwahati, the routes are Guwahati, then it comes to Shillong, Silchar, Aizawl, and then Zorinpuri, the border, and then again coming to Palewa and inland waterways all the way to Situwe. So thank you very much. It is really an alternative, viable option for Bhutan to going to Bay of Bengal and other countries. Our last speaker, and very important speaker, is Mr. Mukundan. India, established a company under the government called IPGL, India Ports Global Limited, and he is the managing director. And his company, is a government organization, is running the Situwe port. The Kaladan corridor, Situwe is one of the components, major components. So over to you, Mr. Mukundan. The floor is yours.
Excuse me. Presentation. PowerPoint. Good evening, distinguished panelists and distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening. I represent Indian Ports Global Limited. Indian Ports Global Limited is the international arm of Ministry of Port, Shipping and Waterways, Government of India, to operate overseas port. At present, IPGL operates shared based the port of Chabahar in Iran and also the Sitwe and Paletwa terminal in Myanmar. I'll just give a brief on this. This is the overview of the Kaldan multimodal project. You can see the Kaldan multimodal transshipment project is to connect northeastern states of the Bay of Bengal via Myanmar. And we have almost, the gentleman from Bhutan was asking about the operational thing. We are operational, and as of now, we have almost operated about 170 ships in Sitwe port. This is the layout of the Sitwe port, where we have two jetties. One is for the international ships and one is for the vessels of IWT. These are the dimensions of the port jetty. Port jetty is designed for vessels up to 20,000. However, with the present capacity, we can go up for the vessels of 6,000 DWT. And our IWT jetty has a design capacities of 300 DWT. If you look at this photo has already come earlier 2-3 presentation. These are the important distance from Calcutta to Sitwe is only about 539 kilometers, and these are the other distance covered. Now I'll give you an introduction of Sitwe Port. Sitwe Port is located in Myanmar, Rakhine State, and is developed under the Indian Kaldan Multimodal Transit Transshipment Project. It's to transform maritime gateway connectivity, India's landlocked northwestern region to the Bay of Bengal, with direct CSS connectivity to the Indian eastern ports and onwards to Assam. Sitwe also has a strategic and efficient trade route that bypasses the complete Siliguri corridor. Enhancing the maritime connectivity to Sitwe, strategic gateway to the Bay of Bengal. Sitwe location in the eastern Bay of Bengal position. It will be linked to the Indian east coast ports Calcutta, Haldia, Paradip, Vizag, and Chennai. It acts as a seaward entry point to India's northeast, enabling faster, cheaper, and more secure cargo movement in the Mizoram and beyond. The next important point is it reduces the logistic cost and time. Trading routes through Siliguri corridor are heavily congested and inefficient. Sitwe provides a shorter multimodal route sea to river to road that can reduce cargo transit time. It enables an act of East vision. Sitwe is a cornerstone of India's Act East policy designed to deepen the connectivity with Northeast Asia while catalyzing the development of border states. Next important is linking coastal economic across the bay. Sitwe can facilitate coastal shipping and feeder service with other Bimstec ports, especially Yangon and Telewa in Myanmar, Ranong in Thailand, Trincomalee and Colombo, Sri Lanka, Tuticorin in Chennai, Vizag, and Paradip in India. Stimulating trade and logistic integration, Sitwe enables multimodal transit of cargo from landlocked Indian state to Southeast Asian markets. It also creates opportunity to cross-border logistic zones across aggregation hubs and value-added service. Strengthens sub-regional transport corridor. Sitwe and Kaldan corridor complement emerging Indo-Myanmar, Thailand, Vietnam connectivity initiative. It is also a model on multimodal integration. Then the next is the basic of transit facilitation agreement and building regional logistic institution. As I got less time, I'm just moving fast. This is about the Kaldan corridor, catalyzing Bay of Bengal port connectivity and regional trade flows. India's northeast has long struggled with physical isolation due to the narrow and connectivity through the Siliguri corridor. The aim, the session, then again, I'll just go next slide. To connect the Eastern India seaport of Calcutta with Sitwe and Myanmar seaport, which I have already mentioned. The objective of this session is to understand and catalyze the role of Sitwe port in unlocking the full potential of Kaldan corridor, to assess how this project can reshape portlet development and regional trade through multimodal connectivity, to explore the implications for India's Northwest, India's Myanmar relation and Bay of Bengal maritime strategy, to identify the challenges and next steps in seamless integration Sitwe into the India's trade and logistic network. From a logistic and trade perspective, how will Sitwe reduce cost and time for cargo from India's northwest? How can also Kaldan corridor in Sitwe in particular be used as a pilot for future Bimstec regional connectivity? Sitwe as a transshipment hub. If you look into this map, you can see how where is Sitwe and how Myanmar's key to in economical growth and regional integration. Connect Sitwe future transshipment port. Infrastructure development, upgrade and expand Sitwe's port facilities, including berth, cargo, handling equipment and storage capacity. Deepen the depth. At presently, where the design is for 7.2 meters. However, we can dredge up to 9.6 meters. Improve the navigational channel. Invest in logistic and transportation. Streamlining customs procedures. Enhance security and safety. Provide trade and investment. Develop human resource, train and develop skilled personnel in ship and port operations, logistic and management, foster regional connectivity. In this slide, you can see how Sitwe is connected and how we can make it as a transshipment port. From Rinok in Thailand, we can touch Palewai, which is close to Yangon port, and from there we can make Sitwe a transshipment port. From Sitwe, we can connect to Bangladesh and also to Calcutta in India. This is another one place where is Sitwe positioned. In addition, Sitwe is connected to all major city-states in Myanmar through highways, which eases the transportation through road and then inland rivers. In conclusion, Sitwe is more than a maritime asset. It is a strategic gateway that enables India's northeast to engage in South Asia. Its integration with Kaldan corridor positions it as a model in Bimstec regional connectivity, demonstrating how focused infrastructure on reshaped trade, connectivity, and strategic cooperation. By building on the Sitwe experience, Bimstec can take meaningful steps towards the shaped, inclusive, and integrated Bay of Bengal economy. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mukandan. Excellent. Friends, we have come to the end of the session. All our 6 speakers spoken. And before I give in concluding remarks, if anyone of here have any questions, if I open the floor, very quick 1 or 2 questions. We have 5 more minutes to go.
Excuse me, sir. Can I ask a question?
Yeah, please.
Thank
please
you
also,
for
tell whom you are throwing the questions.
Sir, actually, my question is towards the panel. Whoever feel comfortable, he can answer. It's a holistic questions, not to project individual. Thank you very much for enlightening us and sharing the insight of the Kaldan corridor. As a lead partner of development and connectivity, the Bangladesh truly acknowledge the requirement of enhanced connectivity. Sir, I have a question. Now we are talking about the maritime ports. So how we can integrate the maritime ports with cross-border connectivity like Kaldan corridor? Neighboring ports, as you can see, Sitwe is going to be one of the, you are proposing as one of the transshipment hub, but nearby you have many other ports like Thailand ports, Bangladesh ports, Calcutta. So my questions towards the panel, how we can integrate the nearby ports with these cross-border corridors like Kaldan corridor? Thank you.
Excellent. Very good question. We will come back to you. Any more? Then just we close the session answering to that questions. Anyone? Okay. So, Mr. Mukandan, can you please answer this?
See, what I was suggesting is that from Sitwe to Calcutta is about 540 kilometers. In Sitwe, we have got enough land. Government of Myanmar has provided us enough land to Government of India. We have 4 warehouses. So it is very easy to have a small liner with a draft of 5 or 6 meters. Start from Calcutta, come down to Chittagong or any closer port, and come down to Sitwe, where we can give warehouses and where all the materials can be stored. From there, we can have another one vessel running to Yangon and then going to up to Renong in Bangladesh. Thank you.
Thank you very much, friends. Please put a round of applause to all of them. And we close the session and hand over to the organizers, to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for that very engaging session indeed. I'm now going to request Captain S. Divakar, the Chief General Manager of Dredging Corporation of India, to kindly join us and help us thank our esteemed moderator and eminent panelists. So let us begin by thanking them. We begin by thanking, of course, Professor Prabir De. Let's have a huge round of applause. Professor Prabir De from the Center for Maritime Economy and Connectivity. Then we go on to thank Shri P.K. Roy, Joint Secretary. Okay. And we are thanking at this juncture Mr. Lafai Zongun. And Captain Divakar, we will also invite Mr. Shiv Kumar now, the Deputy HOD of the Visakhapatnam Ports Authority, to help us thank at this juncture Mr. Sonam Bumta, Regional Director, Industry, Commerce and Employment, Bhutan. And I thank you for the applause, ladies and gentlemen. Sir, we request you to please thank Shri Sunil Mukundan, Managing Director, India Ports Global Limited. And finally, Mr. Shiv Kumar, I request you to please step forward, the Deputy HOD Finance of the Visakhapatnam Ports Authority, to thank Mr. Himanshu Kumar, General Manager, IRCON International. Let's have a huge round of applause for Mr. Himanshu Kumar, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm going to request Mr. Shiv Kumar and Captain Divakar to please stay back with us for a group photo opportunity. I request esteemed panelists to please step ahead of the dais and give us this opportunity. Thank you very much. So ladies and gentlemen, right after this, we will take just a minute to reset the dais and begin with the next session, the final session for the day. But thank you once again to all the speakers and to our moderator for illuminating this key corridor of regional development. Thank you very much. And we will move on, ladies and gentlemen, to our final session for the day, beginning shortly, which will explore Bimstec Agreement on Maritime Transport Cooperation and the opportunities it unlocks for long-term collaboration. So we will just very quickly reset the dais. We don't have to go anywhere. Please remain seated. This is also going to be a very crisp session and a very, very engaging and unmissable one. So please stay with us and don't go away anywhere. I'm going to be shortly inviting our esteemed panelists. So we will just take a moment very quickly to reset the dais. I request the organizers to please help me with that. Just change of name cards very quickly. So this next session, ladies and gentlemen, is session 4 of this second edition of the Bimstec Ports Conclave here in Visakhapatnam. And this is a session that looks to the future of regional maritime collaboration through a landmark development. This is a session on navigating the future, unlocking opportunities with the Bimstec Agreement on Maritime Transport Cooperation. So this is the recently signed Bimstec Agreement on Maritime Transport Cooperation. This agreement marks a very significant step forward in institutionalizing our collective maritime aspirations. It opens the door for enhanced port connectivity, harmonized shipping practices, and integrated maritime frameworks across all Bimstec member states. And to help us explore its full potential, we are indeed joined by a very distinguished panel of experts and practitioners from across the region. And I have the privilege of inviting them now to the stage. Let us begin by inviting our moderator, Shri Sushil Mansingh Khopde, ADG, Director General of Shipping. Ladies and gentlemen, let's have a huge round of applause as we welcome our moderator, Shri Sushil Mansingh Khopde. Warm welcome to you, sir. Welcome, sir. Let me now invite our eminent panelists from Myanmar. May I take the privilege of calling onto the stage Captain Cho Tet Maung, Deputy Director, Department of Marine Administration. Let's welcome him, ladies and gentlemen, with a huge round of applause. So that is Captain Cho Tet Maung, Deputy Director, Department of Marine Administration, Ministry of Transport and Communication. From Bangladesh, I'd like to request Captain Mr. Mohammad Ataul Hakim Siddiqui, Assistant Harbour Master, Chittagong Port Authority. Let's welcome him again with a round of applause. Welcome, sir. From Thailand, our representative is Ms. Nisita Hongchukiat, Senior Specialist, Marine Department, Ministry of Transport, Thailand. Let's welcome the lady, Ms. Nisita Hongchukiat. Warm welcome, madam. And from India, it is my privilege to invite Mr. Rajiv Jalota, retired IAS, ex-Mumbai Port Chairman and ex-IPA Chairman. Let us welcome him, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much, sir, for gracing this occasion with your presence. And we thank each of you, eminent panelists, for being here. So we'll now present a bouquet of flowers to each of our panelists. I request Captain Divakar to please start by thanking our moderators, Shri Sushil Mansingh Khopde, ADG, Director General of Shipping. Let's have a huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, as we welcome him. I invite Mr. Venkateshwara Rao, Deputy HOD, Deputy Chief Mechanical Engineer with VPA, and thank Mr. Rajiv Jalota at this juncture, retired IAS, ex-Mumbai Port Chairman and ex-IPA Chairman. Thank you, sir. Captain Divakar will now thank from Bangladesh, Captain Mr. Mohammad Ataul Hakim Siddiqui from the Chittagong Port Authority. Let's have a huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for the applause. May I request Mr. Venkateshwara Rao to please help us thank our Thailand representative, Ms. Nisita Hongchukiat. Thank you very much, madam. Ms. Nisita Hongchukiat, ladies and gentlemen. And from Myanmar, if I may request Captain Divakar once again, to please thank Captain Cho Tet Maung, Deputy Director, Department of Marine Administration, Ministry of Transport and Communication, Myanmar. I thank you for the applause and thank you very much, sir, for gracing this panel. And once again, I thank each one of you for being here today and for your commitment to deepening Bimstec's maritime integration. We now hand over the proceedings to our moderator, Shri Sushil Mansingh Khopde. Sir, please.
Thank you. As you know, the topic is unlocking the opportunity with Bimstec agreement in maritime transport cooperation. So, as you know, because over the day, you must have heard or you know about the Bimstec, what is Bimstec and why, what we are doing in it. The AMTC is signed just in April in the 6th summit of Bimstec. And after that, the SOPs is underway, the making preparation of SOPs is underway. And what is the implication of member states? That are basically the legal clarity because the water is shared. These countries is around Bay of Bengal. It's basically connecting South Asia and Southeast Asia. So in the same water they are dwelling in, and legal clarity has to be there. Otherwise, there can be disputes, and in case of dispute, for dispute resolution, you have to have some committee or some sort of forum. So joint shipping committee is envisaged. Apart from this, we'll discuss about how to go about this SOP implementation and the digitalization, how it will help in that. And in due course of discussion, whatever questions come up, we'll take them. So first of all, welcome all.
I think we'll start with, since we have talked about SOPs, I'll ask Jalotaji to just give his views about how these SOPs can be implemented, or these standard operating procedures for member states, how they'll be able to implement it, first of all the preparation and how they are going to implement it.
Thanks, Sushil. In fact, we know that time is money, and more so in case of trade. So, we are all talking everywhere ease of doing business, reducing red tape, have almost no checkposts or such checkposts where there is seamless transaction. So the SOPs which were initiated during the last Bimstec meeting, and then lot of deliberation has happened, I believe it's time for them to come to fruition. A couple of countries have already looked at them. Some countries are actually at the final stage of examining those SOPs. So customs, immigration, ports procedures, these are very important. IMO came out with its mandate of maritime single window, which has kick-started from 1st January 2024. Similarly, the World Customs Organization has also initiated common customs procedures. And same is with immigration. Some lot of technological and digitization developments have happened in the last few years, which is actually going to help us in achieving these objectives of common SOPs, and will really reduce time for trade, and actually it will be real ease of doing business by reducing the transaction costs tremendously. A ship which is time chartered, maybe $10,000, $20,000 an hour. And so that can be a real game changer if this regional maritime single window or regional SOP comes into operation. We should have some implementation task force, I believe, created among the nations, and in a time-bound manner. If that task force performs its work, then these SOPs can come up. I also believe that the one port, one process, which is now initiated in India at the level of Ministry of Port Shipping and Waterways, may have been discussed in the morning. The Maitri project, which is being a precursor for the IMEC corridor, is also worked upon as a common SOP and a common digitized platform. These things can be taken as some very good initiatives, best practices by the Bimstec Secretariat. And we need to evolve some common mechanisms so that in the real sense, we operate as a regional entity where business will really get better off in due course of time. These are my initial thoughts, Sushil. Thank you.
Thank you. As you said, there has to have some implementing agency once the SOP is formalized. So we are in the process of formalizing it or finalizing it. I think India and Myanmar has already reviewed the SOP. Remaining countries yet to review it and give their final opinion. After that, as Sir said, we may think of having some, there is a joint shipping committee, but we can think in these terms. So when after SOP, the another thing which is important is the smooth cargo movement is basically very, very important when there is easy cooperation or for the cooperation of transport cooperation as we are talking of. So the second question to the panel is, what mechanisms are needed to ensure smooth cargo flow and prevent regulatory bottlenecks? Maybe from Myanmar you may like to answer this. Basically for smooth cargo movement.
Okay. Thank you. So good evening, ladies and gentlemen, delegates, panelists, and moderator. So our session is navigating the future, unlocking opportunity with the Bimstec agreement. So in that case, what we need to navigate, we need the correct directions, and we also need to use navigational aids in order to get our destinations. Otherwise, we cannot get our goal. So, in that case, to ensure the smooth cargo flow prevents bottlenecks, right? So in that case, we need several mechanisms. Firstly, we have to make the harmonizations among the country, regulatory and custom laws, immigrations, and also the other post-regulatory is we have to make the harmonized. And secondly, without delay the cargo, we need to use a single window systems in each country, integrated regionally where enabled, seamless electronic sections and clearance of cargo-related documents. And also, we need to create a mutual recognition agreement for inspections, certifications, and security standards. We'll also minimize repeated checks, strengthen post-delivery infrastructure, highlands, logistic network is also critical to handle increased cargo efficiently. So additionally, operational joint task force comprising custom immigration port authorities to address real-time issues, resolve disputes properly will help maintain flow. Digitalization also share cargo tracking forms will also provide transparency and predictability in movements. Finally, institution regular stakeholder constitution with private sectors, logistics shipping companies will ensure that policies remain practical and responsive to operational realities. Thank you.
Thank you. As there's applause for your answer, so that means everybody is agreeing here. In fact, as you talked about single window, we are going to have specially for ANTF, which is pre-arrival notification. So in that, it's going on, the project is going on for digitalization so that it will be easier. The next, since he has talked of easy navigation, the next question comes to my mind is, what are the implications of BMTC navigating or a way forward of BMTC in Bay of Bengal region especially? From Bangladesh, if you like to answer this.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, again. It's getting evening. I believe it's difficult to keep concentration the whole day long. So I'd like to take the opportunity of digital tools to keep you eye and face coordination. Can I have the screen, please? Ladies and gentlemen, I'll take very short because the answer to be specific. The whole day we talked about the agreement. Now this is the time to way forward. The first screen on my slide, it has a significance. You can see the compass on the screen. So we are here to navigate. In the panelist, we have two captains, and surely you can trust on us. We can navigate the ship smooth, for sure. Ladies and gentlemen, as a strategic partner, Bangladesh sincerely recognizes the landmark initiative for maritime logistics, foster sustainable economic growth, and among the member states. And it's very relevant. The agreement signed in April, which is the requirement of the time and trade. Though the Bay of Bengal is a home of about 1.7 billion people, which provides about 22% of the global GDP, but this region remains underutilized in terms of maritime connectivity, logistic efficiency, and trade facilitations. So this is the time for actions. I ask for the collaboration now. Where is it? First thing first, we need to make a roadmap for ratifications by the member countries. We must need to establish a Bimstec secretariat to promulgate, to sell this ship. And we need to green maritime practices aligned with the IMO initiatives. I have specific 7 recommendations To start with, strengthen institutional and legal frameworks. First, leverage Bimstec Charter to build legally building protocols. Align with IMO visions, we must need to go ahead with the SOLAS, MAPOL, FAL, and other relevant conventions. And also, we request this forum to vote for establishing a maritime cooperation cell in the Bimstec Secretariat. The second topic, the recommendation, enhance maritime and coastal connectivity. As you know, we have already existing, so we need to way forward. We need to promote the roads like Chittagong, Kolkata, Chennai, Colombo, Yangon, Chennai, Bangkok, and many others. Talking about the secondary ports, currently we have the main ports like Colombo, Chittagong. We may upgrade the secondary feeder ports like Mongla, Dawei, Myanmar, and Trincomalee, Sri Lanka. We encourage harmonized port and procedures. The third recommendation, integrate the cross-border and red load links. What we have existing at this moment, BBIN, MBA agreement, and we have Kaladan multimodal transit project. We have Asian Highway and Trans-Asian Railway corridors. We want to end the connectivity until the last mile of Nepal and Bhutan. As my colleagues said, this is not a landlocked, it's a land-linked country. My fourth recommendation, the facilitate regional maritime trade. We may establish a Bimstec Port Alliance to have a holistic procedure for each port. As a whole, the one regulations, one procedure. And we may launch Bimstec logistic corridors connecting the maritime ports. My fifth recommendation, the capacity building and training, which must talk about my Thailand colleagues, Professor Ruth. So I'm not going more details. It's imperative to have training and capacity sharing, capacity building to navigate the big task. Number 6, definitely security and climate resilience. Our Indian partners, they have the lead role in maritime security. We may address holistic maritime domain awareness in the Bay of Bengal regions to fight with piracy, illegal fishing activities, and to combat the oil spill and disasters. And last, the leverage diplomatic trade cooperation relations. Like we have already existing bilateral and trilateral relationship. We may harmonize this border regulations, the processes. Also, we may find for the other supportive agreements like Indian-Asia Free Trade Agreement, Bangladesh-Thailand Free Trade Agreement, which is under negotiation. Also, Bimstec Free Trade Agreement. And public-private partnership is extremely important, which is already discussed in the first session. So, with a note, I'd like to end that Bimstec members, please be on board to the ship of the BMTC. We may navigate, sail towards the Bay of Bengal together. Thank you.
That was very well replied. And especially with the presentation, it really impact more. So after navigation, what is recommended by him, I think that's the outcome of this deliberation, and it will be recorded, and we'll see how it can be done. One more important question is, again, just now I talked about that MSW Maritime Single Window project is on, and it is going to be there in maybe another couple of months will be required. So there is no duplication of entering data whenever ship arrives in a port. You don't have to again and again replicate the data. That's the basic purpose of that. So wherein I talked about that pre-arrival notification on all the 7 forms as given by IMO, that we have to fill. So those things are very much required when we want to smoothen the cargo flow, or especially at the ports when ship comes, and if there are hassles, that's what in AMTC it is envisaged that these hassles will go away. So I would like to ask Jalota sir how digitalization will impact the trade in between these Bimstec member states.
Actually, Ministry of Port Shipping and Waterways in Government of India has already embarked on this mission of creating a national logistics portal called Sagar Setu for the government ports as well as private ports. They can all latch on to the same system, which is a slight upgradation on the port community systems. When we are talking about common digital platform across Bimstec region, so this can be one precursor that how the Bimstec countries can also think of through some mechanism aligning their digitized procedures, and then say if any changes are required in the Indian procedures also, that also can be looked at as a harmonized proposal by all countries. And then we can then talk to each other, our systems then speak to each other, and data sharing happens in real time. Only in this particular system, we do not have customs latched on. We are talking to customs separately to the customs software. But say when the SOPs get built up, which we already spoke about, at that point of time, then between the Bimstec countries, their customs software will be talking to each other, and their port community systems can speak with the National Logistics Portal. And in this fashion, this data transfer will be more efficient. On our National Logistics Portal, in fact, even some portion of immigration data is also being captured. Port Health Organization, the Mercantile Marine Department, these are there, latched on. So one of the other issues is of various certifications that are needed for various kind of products to pass through different countries. There, in India, what is happening that the system of customs, that is actually speaking with these different government organizations where certifications are needed. If that also digitization gets holistically covered among different countries in form of a regional platform, then it will really lead to very, very fast clearance of goods at the ports, and in fact, clearance can happen even before the ship arrives. What is happening in India, almost 95% of the goods are getting cleared by customs even before ship arrival. So we should look at reaching out to such benchmarks and best practices that can really make this region a regional, say, a trendsetter in terms of maritime best practices. Thank you.
So as sir has said, in fact, in India, we are planning to, I just said about maritime single window, wherein it is basically the National Logistic Platform, that is NLP, wherein all the data was being fed earlier through either PANs, that is pre-arrival notification, or the 7 forms as directed by IMO that we have adopted. So through that, all these data are filled up over NLP. That NLP may be a part of it will be called maritime single window as IMO directives that will be adopted, and only as he said the custom part is remaining, that we are trying to integrate custom data with this data. So that process is going on. Probably in coming months it will be done, so that there will be a maritime single window as far as India is concerned, and then we can think of it to extend it to other member countries as well. Anyways, in the SOP, the basic thing as per AMTC is we are going to treat all the member countries, they are going to treat other countries' vessels as their own vessels. That is the basic idea of this cooperation. So that means all this data which is fed, when we accept it, other countries also will accept, or will accept it for other countries' vessels as well, the other flag vessels. So that's the whole idea behind this. So as we have talked of IMO now, so the next question comes to the mind is how do you ensure that our maritime cooperation, this aligns with the global standard of sustainability, safety, and inclusivity? I'll request maybe Myanmar representative may like to answer it. The Thailand representative, she has requested that she cannot speak English. That's why I'm not asking a question. That's why I'm asking to Myanmar. But she's listening to it and she's noting it down. Whatever we are speaking, she understands, but she won't be able to speak it properly. That's why she has requested that. So I'll just ask Myanmar representative.
Thank you for the floor again, once again. So, international cooperation aligned with global standards for sustainability, safety, and inclusive. We ensure that Bimstec's maritime cooperation align with the global standards for sustainability, safety, and inclusively require the multi-branch approach. First, we need to adopt the implementation of international conventions, frameworks such as IMO conventions on maritime safety, pollution prevention, and seafarer welfare like MLC conventions across all member states uniformly. That's why we established a common baseline for all operations. Second, we need to promote green ports initiatives and sustainable shipping practices such as shore power facility, cleaner fuels, waste management protocols, which will be aligned as global sustainability targets, including the IMO's decarbonization goal. Third, we need to enhance maritime safety standards through capacity building regional joint training programs such as technological upgrades like VDS, AIS, which will improve navigational safety and emergency response readiness. Finally, ensure inclusivity means integrating genders, mainstreaming, and equitable workforce participations in maritime operations, decision-making process, while also engaging the coastal communications to benefit our regional maritime development. Why do we focus on these pillars? We have to adopt global conventions, promoting green practice, enhancing our safety standards, and ensure inclusivity. We can align Bimstec's maritime cooperation perfectly global standards, and we can create this resilient, sustainable, and equitable maritime futures for these regions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So that's a very important point you made. And it's a part of AMTC also that we have to align, or we are going to align. The member states will be aligning with the international standards. And the of sustainability, safety, and inclusivity. The inclusivity is very important word here, wherein those who are not land-linked, today only this word coined, at least I came to know today that Bhutan representative said about this, that land-linked country. So that the inclusivity part, basically those who don't have the seashore, they should also be included for this maritime cooperation. So anyways, the next question to the panel is, what are the short-term, mid-term, and long-term goals envisioned under Bimstec Maritime Transport Agreement, and how do they align with regional aspirations and national priorities? So maybe Bangladesh representative may like to.
Thank you again. Of course, strategic and judicious planning is important to have a successful implementation and functionality of any agreement. It's very imperative to include all the stakeholders and the members. So from the today's discussion, I may highlight specific 2 points from my colleagues of panelists who highlighted that inclusion of academia in the policymakers. This is number 1. Number 2, the trust building among the members, which is very important for making the plan. So while talking about the plan of this implementation of this maritime transport cooperation, we have identified a few action areas, basically institutional framework, legal and regulatory alignment, infrastructure, capacity building, security and environmental safety, private sector engagement, and digitalization. If we talk about the terms, actually term doesn't define, the market defines the terms. However, to make planning, we need to have the holistic plan for implementations. If we talk about institutional framework, as a short-term and mid-term plan, we may have finalize the BMTC agreement, create working group, and develop SOPs for the cooperation and sharing. And as a long-term plan, we may establish a permanent secretariat in the BMTC cooperation cell. In terms of legal and regulatory alignment, we must review and align all the policies of all the members. And we may sign the MRS, like mutual recognition of agreements, and finally, full regulatory harmonization. So in terms of action area infrastructure, we identify the ports which are needed to be upgraded. As a short-term and mid-term, we may implement port modernization plan, and long-term, we may build in multimodal logistics hubs. While talking about capacity building, short and mid-term plan, we may launch training and workshops. Also, we can set up a Bimstec training center and institute like the BMTC Maritime University maybe. And in the long-term plan, we may go ahead with the regional certifications on framework. And as per action area of security and environmental safety, we may, as a short-term and mid-term, we may start with initial joint exercise of maritime safety. And as a long-term plan, the common Bimstec maritime surveillance grid may be established. So important sector, like the private sector engagement. Short and medium, we may organize the investor roundtable discussions more frequently to get the feedback from there how to way forward more engagement of the PPP projects. And in the long term, we may establish Bimstec Maritime Investment Fund from the regional members to navigate these PPP projects. And last, not the least, the upgradation and digitalization is very important. So in a short and mid-term plan, we may develop Bimstec Digital Maritime Portal and full integration of customs and port systems, what my colleagues from India already spoke about. And finally, as a long-term plan, we may integrate AI-based predictive logistics tools to foster the overall digitalization process of whole Bimstec trade and connectivity. So this is, as a whole, my proposal for the successful implementation plan for Bimstec Maritime Transport Corporation.
Please.
Excuse me, moderator. For Thailand, I would say about this Bimstec agreement on maritime transport cooperation, some issue. Yes, okay. So I would say about how does Thailand plan to implement the Bimstec agreement on maritime transport cooperation and at the national level. So Thailand has already signed the agreement, but not ratification because I have an internal process. And I would fully support to implementation the Bimstec agreement. After carefully reviewing the draft SOP that presented by India, I think we found that to be in line in our domestic law, but have some issue we talk further. And we have expressed our support for this agreement. The Marine Department, as Thailand competent authority, is prepared to proceed with the next step in cooperation with the other member states and to join shipping committee that ensures smooth and coordinate implementation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. What she has said is that the Thailand supports this agreement fully. That's what you said, and that's really applaudable. We should clap for that. And other things is she spoke very well. Thank you. Finally, the SOP is made in which there are certain things like the how to cooperate, especially if the vessel comes, if there is a wreck, or if something happens about safety and security, he talked about it. In that SOP, it's there how to go about it. In case of any mishap or fire or whatever, if there is a wreckage of a ship, who will remove it, how it will be done. Because there are laws of every nation, they have their own laws, and accordingly we have to modify it. That's why we are asking to all the nations to please go through it, and then they can, whatever they want to modify, they can just send us. So that accordingly we'll finalize the SOP. It's basically amongst the nation. We need to have consent of all the nations for that. Then only it will be finalized. Otherwise it's not possible. So there are so many things which are discussed in that and which are tried to be answered in that. But maybe everybody has their own viewpoint. So it can be modified accordingly, and it can be changed.
Just to add, I'm here on his side. Just to add, as we have already established SOPs between the countries, like the Bangladesh, India, Bangladesh, Thailand, and other things.
Bilateral.
Yeah. So bilateral. So we can work out on that. What are the hurdles we are facing, and what are the take away from these SOPs that we may integrate in this BMTC coordinations?
Yes, that is very good suggestion. In fact, based on those only this SOP is made, based on the bilateral SOPs we had earlier, and after studying and what we faced in that, some SOP is made, but it's open. That's open to all the nations. They can modify it accordingly. We'll change it. So the last question, or one of maybe the last point is, it's basically for all the panelists. Basically, it's for all the panelists. How do they view this agreement as a benchmark for engagement, cooperation, and stronger ties among Bimstec nations? It's basically for all, whatever you feel about this agreement, whether it is a benchmark for or stronger ties and better cooperation will happen with this agreement, or what are your views? Maybe, sir, you may like to answer first.
I would like to add one issue which is, say, complementary to what we are discussing. Like our Ministry of Port Shipping and Waterways has created some center of excellences in our country. Say, be it for digitalization and cyber security, because cyber security for maritime is a very big risk nowadays. And we have already started that center with the help of the Indian Institute of Technology. Similarly, we have started a center on decarbonization with TERI, the Energy Research Institute, where development of alternate fuels, alternate technologies, that is going on. We have a center of excellence established in IIT Kharagpur, that is on ship side. Then another center of excellence which is working on ports and infrastructure, which is established at IIT Chennai. And similar other initiatives, even Center for Maritime Economy and Connectivity is one such similar exercise. So there is another center which is focused on ESG and circularity in maritime. So all these centers have some good practices, and similar such centers may be existing in the Bimstec region, in those countries. How these centers come together on some platform and try to exchange ideas and can work as think tanks on certain major problems faced by the Bimstec region in general. That may be a good way to have an interaction between the centers, and then they try to, because say in European Union, in Africa, in Latin America, these various countries actually are having their regional such platforms. And where reinventing the wheel doesn't happen, because all these countries are developing countries in a way. So say some good practices developed in one particular country, it can be made useful for others. Similarly, like alternate fuels, say green hydrogen, somebody is slightly ahead. Development of battery technologies, if somebody is ahead, that can be used by the others. So this is one of my, just a digression, but a complementary idea that I wish to propose here.
In fact, that's a very good suggestion, sir. The best practices need to be seen and practiced by all the countries, then only their cooperation will happen, in fact. So that each other's best practices should be adopted. And that's a very good suggestion by sir. And maybe from your side, you would like to say something?
Yeah, I do agree. This Bimstec Maritime Transport Cooperation Agreement, it actually is a platform to, just like you can consider the inception of activities. So we need to work together. We need to, not as a single country or single state, as a whole, the Bimstec members. And if we work together, we can reach the goal of harmonized relations, then green port initiatives, and engagement and cooperative engagement of the public-private sector. And finally, maybe you can foster the maritime security and address the training needs of the whole Bimstec regions. So to harness that, we need to start navigating from now, as a, not as a country, but as a whole, the Bimstec members.
Thank you. Finally, I would say about the agreement, this agreement, Thailand consider offering support for to focus on maritime transport cooperation. Thailand main focus will be on enhancing coordinate among maritime related agencies and improving operational readiness on the port level. We do not foresee major legal but or possible obstacle of this state. Our effort will center around improving awareness, building institution capacity, and ensuring that port authorities are prepared to comply with the SOP effectively. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you again. So, as I mentioned before, if we want to navigate into the future, we have our destinations. So now we have our destinations, is its SOP, standard operating procedures, but what we need to do is to implement these SOPs. But in that case, we have a lot of probabilities between our nationals. So harmonizing will be collaborations, one of the collaborations, and we will achieve the goals. So between the countries, there will be we have to reduce our waterlogs in order to facilitate most convenient shipping, waterways, and in the trades. It just we have to improve the commercials with the agreements. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So we have come to the end of question-answer session. Anything from audience before I sum up the session? Before that, we would like to take questions if there is any. It seems it's the last session of the day and everybody is tired and looking to get out of this room and do their own work probably. So I think we have finished the question-answer session. I'll just sum up in 2-3 minutes so that then you will be free. So basically what we have done today is the agreement to action. We have tried to explore what are the ideas, how to implement it. Agreement is already done, and how to implement it. In fact, implementation is more difficult than the agreement actually. It's very, very difficult thing, theory and practice. So getting it into practice is a very difficult thing. So we talked about SOPs and how these SOPs will be converted to operational efficiency. Another thing we talked is how to strengthen the ports and with digitalization, the digital integration of various platforms, and how member states also can adopt those digital transformation which are happening in other states. Other thing we talked is about global standards alignment, that everybody agreed we have to align with the global standard. And about sustainability, one of the members very rightly said we have to look into that as well, the green shipping, or if other country is doing without carbon footprints, if they are doing something, we need to adopt it, that these are the best practices which are happening in other countries. So other member countries will try to do it or try to follow it. It will be easier for them and easier for world as well. And lastly, one of the points which were discussed was inclusive growth. Even those countries which they don't have the shore, we are including them as well, and they are our part. And the word coined, that is land linked, it is very good word. That was really a good word, that instead of landlocked, the land linked nations, they are also included in this agreement. Because of this AMTC, all the nations will be benefited. And finally, the last line I want to say is, this is the water of Bay of Bengal, do not divide us. In fact, it connects us, and we now drive, and that water drives us forward together. If you go together, it will drive us forward. Thank you.
Very much. Thank you very much, sir. And I thank the eminent panelists. I invite Captain Divakar and also Mr. Hari Krishna, the Chief Mechanical Engineer, Visakhapatnam Port Authority, to help us thank our eminent panelists. We start by thanking our moderator, Shri Sushil Mansingh Khopte, ADG, Director General of Shipping. Let's thank him with a huge round of applause as well, ladies and gentlemen. And I now request Captain S. Divakar, Chief General Manager, Dredging Corporation of India, to please step forth and help us thank Mr. Rajiv Jalota, retired IS, ex-Mumbai Port Chairman and ex-IPA Chairman. Let's have a huge round of applause for Shri Rajiv Jalota. Thank you very much, sir. May I request Mr. Hari Krishna to please help us thank from Bangladesh, Captain Mr. Muhammad Ataul Hakim Siddiqui, Assistant Harbour Master, Chittagong Port Authority. Let's have a huge round of applause for him, ladies and gentlemen. I request now Captain Divakar to please step forth and help us thank the lady on the panel, Ms. Nisita Hongchukiat, Senior Specialist Marine Department, Ministry of Transport, Thailand. And let us thank her, ladies and gentlemen, with a huge round of applause. And I thank you for the applause. And I request Mr. Hari Krishna now to step forward and help us thank, at this juncture from Myanmar, Captain Cho Tet Maung, Deputy Director, Department of Marine Administration, Ministry of Transport and Communication, Myanmar. Thank you very much, sir. Captain Cho Tet Maung. So that concludes session 4, and we request you to stay back, sir, to kindly give us a photo opportunity. I invite Captain Divakar as well to kindly help us with a photo opportunity. And ladies and gentlemen, before you go, I have a very important announcement. I request you, sir, as well, to kindly join us. I also request Mr. Venkateshwara Rao, Deputy Chief Mechanical Engineer, VPA, to please join in the picture. Ladies and gentlemen, as the sun sets on today's... Yes, let's have a huge round of applause. That was indeed a very, very interesting session. Very, very pertinent. And thank you to our moderator for steering that so brilliantly. Thank you, sir. So as I was saying, as the sun sets on today's deliberations, it is my pleasant duty to invite you to enjoy a very vibrant cultural performance that celebrates the spirit of our region in this very ballroom, followed by dinner, starting 8 p.m. So 8 p.m. onwards, we all congregate again, ladies and gentlemen. Come back to this room. Of course, the settings will change. Maybe the stage will go to that side. But you're all cordially invited. You may take time to change and ease into this evening as we gather soon for the cultural showcase and dinner. So 8 p.m. onwards is when the cultural performance begins, and dinner follows right after that. But thank you very much once again to all the esteemed panelists for such a wonderful session focused on future-ready frameworks and unified maritime vision. Tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen, the day starts sharp at 10 a.m., but we all have to reconvene at 9:45 a.m. So I urge and request you to please come back tomorrow at 9:45 a.m. for the next set of very, very meaningful panel discussions that we have tomorrow, which will end with a wonderful valedictory session. So I thank you very much once again. This is your host Aishwarya Singh, and I thank you very much for being an incredible audience. I will see you tomorrow at 10 a.m. sharp. Please be here at 9:45 a.m. Cultural evening starts at 8 p.m. today. So come back at 8 p.m. in this very room. Cultural performance will be followed by dinner. So please do join us back in this room, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much. Thank you.